You're listening to the Telltale channel. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to check out my Patreon. You can find some ad-free, uncensored, complete versions of my videos on my website, owenmorgan.com. All links are in the description. Welcome everybody. Thank you so much for coming. Holy Christ on a cracker. We have some crazy stuff to talk about tonight. Oh my God. I'll tell you what, let me just read my transitions real quick and we'll just jump right into it, okay? Hold on. Let me just move my windows around a little bit. Yeah. Oh, hang on. Wait, this is supposed to be minimized. Okay. Cool. In this podcast, Greg Locke debated a flat earther publicly at his church. Why, I hear you asking? Because it's a theological belief that spread through his church like wildfire. His church is completely divided down the middle on this, and they're completely nuts about it. Let's talk about how the debate went. Spoiler alert, Greg gets a microphone thrown at his head. It gets wild. This is probably going on my main channel, that one. Elon Musk has been promoting QAnon and full-blown Nazi conspiracies for who knows how long at this point, and advertisers are pulling out of Twitter as a result. He was asked about it, point blank. What do you have to say for yourself? His answer? I'm just going to say it. Go fuck yourself. He said when Twitter inevitably fails, which he seems to believe is bound to happen eventually, it's going to be the advertiser's fault. Most definitely not his fault. And everybody will blame the advertisers for Twitter's failure. I guess we'll see who takes the blame for what, won't we? Jack Hibbs, famed televangelist, has set his mind to selling fear to his audience. As much fear as he can cram down their throats. Some of his strategies for amping up fear are absolutely wild. Now he's telling his audience that he thinks Mexico is going to start launching missiles into the U.S. Seriously, you have to hear this. I actually have like 3 videos extra that I intended to cover because I didn't know I was going to hit Greg Locke. So let me read the transitions for the videos that I was hoping to cover. I may hit different ones tonight. Mark Robinson, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina, says God elected him to office for a purpose, to spread Jesus throughout government as much as he possibly could. Makes you wonder why God wouldn't just put him in the White House if that was his goal, or at least the actual governor's position rather than lieutenant governor. But whatever, far be it from me to question God's strategies. Anyways, let's see what let's see what values he thinks God wants him to spread through government. Spoiler alert, it involves persecuting minority groups, just like Jesus taught. Who saw that one coming? Here's my final transition for the night. Lara Logan is a major public figure in the QAnon movement, a hero to him. But there was a time when she was a correspondent on CBS News and even 60 Minutes. What happened to her? Let's talk about her descent into absolute madness. From widely respected to banned from even Fox and Newsmax. Newsmax! What the hell do you have to say to get banned from Newsmax, for Christ's sake? Let's talk about it. It is a wild ride. We also take voicemails if you want to... We also take voicemails if you want to leave a voicemail. The number is 1-800-701-8573. If you want to send me an email instead, go to my website, owenmorgan.com, and click Contact Me in the menu. All right, awesome. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. Let's hit it, shall we? This is seriously gonna... I'm not going to bury it. I'm going to talk about this right out the gate, so hang on. Need to put that editing marker in with my camera. You finally made it. Your atheist famous. Take a bow. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I thought so too. If you don't understand that super chat, you will in a minute. Okay. This is Greg Locke and a guy named Dean Odell on the right here. Dean Odell is a flat earther and also an evangelical extremist. He basically agrees with Greg Locke on everything except for flat earth. So Greg Locke, as it turns out, decided to hold a flat earth debate. And oh my God, it got crazy. By the end of it, dude threw a microphone at Greg Locke's head for real. Watch this. I'm not going to bury it. Let's just watch this happen. December 2nd, 2023. Oh, sorry. I have to change my audio outputs. 1 second here. Okay, cool.
Hello? Is it sunrise or not?
Not at all. I don't agree with you.
Turn his mic off. Get out.
Wow.
You're a Bible denier.
You see Greg, like, knock the mic away?
You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. That is ridiculous.
Dude, I love everything about it. This is the very end of the debate.
Bible denier. Just get out.
Oh, man, I love it to death. So, I want to tell you the whole story. I watched the entire thing beginning to end on my own. I'm going to be watching the entire thing with an audience on my Owen Unfiltered YouTube channel. If you want to see it, like the whole thing in its entirety while I break down line by line, come over there if you want to see the whole thing, for real. Also, if you want to just watch it yourself, as far as I can tell, it's gone. I think he deleted it. But your boy recorded it. Who has 2 thumbs and records everything? This guy right here. So if you want access to the Greg Locke live stream, so if you want access to the debate, all you have to do is go to owenmorgan.com/clips. Takes you to a Dropbox. Hold on. Wait. Oops. Wait. Oh, yeah. Here we go. owenmorgan.com/clips. And it takes you to a Dropbox page here, see? And just sort by name and go to 2023-12-03 because that's when I'm covering this story. These are all sorted. And this is, by the way, every single clip I've ever covered. Ever. In my whole history of covering stuff. All the way back to, I think, 2020 or 2021. Anyways, you go in here, 2023-12-03, and you'll find Locke Flat Earth folder. And it's got the notes that I took for the entire thing so that you can search it if you want to. I'm actually going to put this at the end, like this explanation. If you want to see how to access the live stream, just wait till the end of the video or skip to the end and I'll explain it there. Okay, now I'm just going to move this to the end. Anyways, these are the notes that I took. You can search by keyword, timestamped, and everything. You can watch the full, unedited, cleaned up video, like the whole 4-hour-long live stream. Or you can just watch little clips that I put together that I thought were noteworthy. So, anyway. All right, now let's talk about it. Let me tell you why he decided to hold this debate in the first place. As it turns out, his church is divided right down the center on this subject of flat Earth. He is having such a problem with the flat Earth conspiracy in his church that he felt like he couldn't ignore it anymore. Families are being torn apart and everything, apparently. Listen to what he had to say about it here.
And I want to tell you one of the reasons I called it out, because we got people in our own church eviscerating each other over this ridiculousness. We got marriages on the rocks because of flat Earth. And I'm not saying that people ain't stupid that believe the other way. I mean, there's crazy people on both sides. I get it.
Don't both sides this. No. Flat Earthers are wrong. Flat Earthers are extremists more often than not. They have made this their entire personality. Greg Locke has not made his entire personality anti-flat Earth. In fact, pretty much nobody has. It's not the same.
I get it. Both sides. We all crazy. But I've never, ever, ever, and I have messed with a lot of doctrine. I've never dealt with anything that is more divisive in the local church than flat Earth theology. Never. Never. I mean, we got people that came to this church 2 or 3 years. Good people here tonight. The moment I called it out, I was lost. I'm not even saved. I'm not even regenerate. You working for the Mason? What? You believed everything until that one little deal?
So the reason that this is so fascinating is because Greg Locke has effectively a compound, right? It's outside city limits. Compounds typically are, because you can't just get like a city police officer to come in and deal with a problem or to search the property or execute search warrants or whatever. You have to get like a state trooper or a sheriff because it's a county level issue, and you're outside city limits, which means you don't have to pay taxes and all kinds of things. So anyway, he set up a compound outside of city limits and invites people to come live in the area in this one little spot, and they all live together in this little vicinity, and they all go to the churches and everything. People uproot their lives, leave everything behind, and move to his compound area or the vicinity. Seriously, it's crazy. And he's saying that people who did that, uprooted their whole life for him, are now calling him lost and everything. I mean, this is an issue that is apparently really wrecking his extremist branch of Christianity here. And the reason why? Because apparently somebody, or a number of somebodies, have been going to every church member's Facebook page and posting a list of 240 verses in the Bible that back up a flat earth. Of course, it's all fake. I don't think the Bible backs up a flat earth personally. But, you know, they're trying to push this on people. They're pushing it on Christians. Hang on. I was actually brought up in the debate, interestingly enough. Me and Hemant Mehta. Check this clip out here.
Now, I want to say this tonight. I want to say hey to our atheist friends. One of the reasons
Hey.
I'm going down this road is because here we have Owen Morgan, who has about 400,000 followers. Another guy.
That's me. I'm not quite at 400,000, but I like to say that I'm almost at almost 500,000, you know. I'm not quite at almost 500,000. Anyway, once I hit 400K subbies, I feel comfortable saying I am.
Followers. Another guy, the friendly atheist, who has about 100,000. They're all talking about they're going to watch this tonight. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, I'm going to show you some fruit that when people have seen the evidence for a flat, geocentric, non-rotating Earth.
Oh, so it's not just flat Earth. That's another thing I want to mention. It's not just the flat Earth conspiracy that he believes in. It is geocentric and flat, where the sun revolves around the Earth in a circuit, basically. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that goes along with this.
That many atheists have seen the evidence and come to Jesus as their Lord and Savior. They've come back to the faith.
Atheists saw the evidence of Jesus, and because of the flat Earth movement, came to Jesus. Really. Okay? People clapping like this isn't a complete lie.
And I just want to say hey to them, and I appreciate them
Hey.
sharing on their channels that we were having this debate, and now they're laughing it up. But I want to tell you what, they don't realize.
I am laughing it up, as a matter of fact. That is accurate.
This debate, and now they're laughing it up. But I want to tell you what, they don't realize. They're losing a lot of their atheist friends over what we can show them.
Totally. I'm losing atheist friends over you arguing for flat Earth from a biblical perspective. When you do that, atheists who don't believe in the Bible suddenly view it as a credible source for everything and believe, just, come on, man, this is absurd. Everything you're saying is absurd, and it's not just about this. It's about flat Earth and all of the other stuff surrounding it. The deliverance ministry stuff. I mean, Greg Locke claims that, and I assume that Dean Odell also believes this, being a deliverance ministry believer. He thinks that any ailment that you have, is caused by a demon possession, effectively. A kid is wetting the bed, the demon of bedwetting. You have high blood pressure, the demon of high blood pressure. You have to exorcise the demon of pharmakia, and once you do that, you won't have to take medicine for high blood pressure anymore. I'm not joking. that's shared between Greg and Dean Odell. Okay, so the structure of the debate was Greg Locke gets up there and does introductions and says, I want this to be a good faith conversation. I don't want us to be at each other's throats. It may get a little heated tonight, but I want to be able to have coffee with you guys tomorrow after this debate. I don't want anybody to absolutely lose their minds over what happens tonight. We are all Christians. We all love each other, so on and so forth. And he said, so let's sit down and let's talk. And to Greg Locke's credit, he's a complete scumbag, but I will give him this one thing, if no other. He did enter this debate in good faith and extremely well prepared. He cooked this dude. I don't know how else to put it. He absolutely destroyed Dean Odell in this debate. Every single thing that Dean Odell brought up, Greg Locke knew. He knew the argument, and he knew why it was ridiculous nonsense, and he pointed that out. I couldn't even believe that Greg was so well prepared, honestly. And oh my God, dude, you need to see the whole thing, okay? Check my Owen Unfiltered YouTube channel. If it's not up already, then I'll put a link to it in the description once I upload it and everything. But oh my God, man. Oh my God, it was so fascinating. So Greg Locke stands up there and does introductions, and then they sit in these chairs for a couple minutes, have a back and forth. Dean Odell gets up and does a PowerPoint presentation for, I think, 2 hours. And then Greg Locke takes his turn. But his turn only lasted an hour before he was cut off by Dean Odell, and that whole throwing the microphone incident happened. Greg Locke didn't even get to rebut all of the points. I have zero respect for Dean Odell. And I have, one respect for Greg Locke. I don't know what the scale is, how high it goes. On a scale of 1 to 10,000, I have one respect for Greg, for how he handled himself in this debate. But anyway, let's listen to their little back and forth here. Wait, which one is this? Oh, let's listen to their little back and forth here, because this is one of the most fascinating parts about it, in my opinion.
Did you know right now there's between 1 and 5,000 people on the continent of Antarctica?
So the reason he's even talking about Antarctica is because Dean Odell said earlier he believes that Antarctica is an ice wall that surrounds the flat Earth. And the governments know that if you step over the ice wall, you'll die. You'll just fall off. So the governments prevent people. They ban them from going to Antarctica at all. Nobody is allowed there in this guy's mind, which is simply not true. People are there. They live there. So Greg really tries to hammer in on this Antarctica point.
And people are like, well, NASA's there, and there's these, gunny penguins that are keeping people from getting it. It's this fantastical nonsense where people have flown over it, taken pictures, people have all of these people have circumnavigated Antarctica. You can buy a cruise ticket.
You hear what's happening here? Greg Locke being jeered? That was happening all night long at Greg's church. Greg was being jeered and booed and screamed at all night. Seriously, it was crazy. And he tries these little tactics to get the crowd, to interact with him. He'll say, and then the Bible says it is done. Say it. And then he'll hold the microphone out to the crowd. And he'll say it. And, they'll do that kind of thing. They weren't even responding. They were dead silent when he did that, when he tried to get the crowd revved up or whatever. It was crazy. So anyways, they're just having a nice, polite conversation at this immediate moment. It's early in the debate. And he's still getting jeered by people.
A cruise ticket. You can buy a cruise ticket and go to Antarctica. And here's what's interesting. In 2019, the Flat Earth folks were going to take a cruise to Antarctica to prove their thoughts. Nothing ever came of it.
Here, let me explain that to you.
You can
All right?
fly there today.
No, you can, fly there and see the coastline. That's about all you can do, a little bit of the
Oh,
coastline.
absolutely
No,
not.
oh, yes, oh, yes.
Remember what I said. Greg Locke came prepared for this, right? Just keep listening.
And if you want to go there and stay, oh, no, you have to have permission from a government. Have you ever seen the amount of stuff you have to fill out to go through there?
Yes.
And also, they're not going to let you go in an expedition inland just as me or you. They're not going to let that happen. For 20.
So who is they, by the way, in this scenario? Is this like the deep state? Is this the world government or something? Like, who does he think is preventing people from going there? In all seriousness, there is an Antarctica treaty that was signed by, I think, all countries, and they agree to stay out of Antarctica unless given special permission for scientific reasons and stuff. But you can get exemptions. You are allowed to go to Antarctica as a normal person. If I had the money and the will and the whatever, I could go to Antarctica if I wanted. Any single person can. They just limit how many people can every year is all.
For 24
So
hours.
all the footage is doctored. Is that what
Yeah,
we're
it's
saying?
doctored, and they admit it's doctored.
So then why can't we go and just see it for ourselves?
Well, let's just see if they'll let us.
Oh, they will let us.
You hear the lackluster clapping in the background? So the guy says, let's see if they'll let us, right? Now you'll get to see Greg Locke's preparation paying off.
See if they'll let us.
Oh, they will let us. I've already checked into it.
Uh-oh.
They'll absolutely let us.
Let's go.
They
go.
will absolutely.
It's easy to sit there, cross your legs in a chair, and say, well, let's go. But Greg Locke isn't going to leave it at that.
Absolutely let us. And not only will they absolutely let us, I've got a cattle rancher in Texas that will pay for the entire trip.
Let's do it.
We'll fly right to Antarctica.
Oh, boy. Greg Locke has a cattle rancher, which he brings up again later for a similar reason, that's going to pay for a trip to Antarctica for Greg and I assume Dean Odell and somebody else. Greg Locke was so confident that he could get in because he already signed the paperwork to get in. Seriously. He talks about this later on in the debate.
We stay 1 week inland. They're going to let us stay 1 week inland.
Oh, absolutely. There's people inland right now.
Well, yeah, they all work for different governments of the world.
Nah,
It's governments, right? Yeah, okay.
you can't. You don't get to use the governments of the world. There's a lot of people.
Antarctica Treaty, man. Antarctica Treaty. Read it.
You know what? I did every line of it, and none of it has anything to do with militarization.
Dude cooked him. I'm telling you, man. Dude cooked this flat earther. I love it to death. I have never in my life... All right, let me rephrase. I never in my life saw myself rooting for Greg Locke, of all people here, but absolutely. And I'm telling you, Greg busted out the most sound logic I've ever heard in my life here. Seriously. This guy in another part that I didn't clip out for tonight because it just had too much, but in another part the guy says they keep changing the distance from Earth to the sun. You know, it's not always been 93 million miles. Before they said it was like 80 million miles, and then it was 7,000 miles, and blah blah blah. And Greg said, I mean, this is the same argument that young Earth creationists give for claiming that, you know, the Earth is not 4.54 billion years old. They say science keeps changing the date. It used to be 2 billion, then it was 3 billion, now it's 4 billion. And Greg said that's because our scientific knowledge got expanded, our technology expanded, and our ability to take intricate, precise measurements got better. Our understanding of space and the world around us got better. I was like, absolutely, dude. Now just take that logic that you very obviously understand and apply it to a young Earth now. Oh my God, dude. This is just a great debate. I loved it to death. I hope to see you guys on my Unfiltered channel for the whole thing, seriously. I stream on Unfiltered, Owen Unfiltered, every Wednesday and Thursday, 10:30 Eastern to 2:30 p.m. Eastern. 10:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. So check that out.
Do with militarization.
Let me step back. Keep listening here.
And none of it has anything to do with militarization of the area. It even says peaceful expedition. There are people that live in Antarctica right now.
One guy tried to go there by himself, and he was seized and arrested and put in jail.
Now, Greg Locke does this same kind of thing, pull out these ridiculous single exceptions to something that happened and claim that the exception is the rule. Listen to Greg Locke dismantle it now.
All right, so don't tell me that. You can't just
So
decide.
you expect me to change my entire theology over one man that got turned away?
Go ahead. I'll tell you what.
That's crazy
I'll tell you
train.
What, why don't you try?
Oh, I
go
will.
there by yourself.
Absolutely.
All right.
Wow. No. You agreed to go with me.
Without
You agree to go with me. Oh, God.
government approval.
You agreed to go with me.
Go over there without filling out the forms and see what happens.
Why would I go without filling out the forms when I can plainly fill out the forms, buy a ticket, and go, and they will let me in?
Right? See, that's the problem. That guy tried to get in without filling out forms. You can just fill out the forms and get in. It's not that hard. That's Greg Locke's... Greg Locke has sat in the seat that Dean Odell is in right now about other stuff. And I'm sitting in Greg's seat saying this same stuff. Greg, please apply this logic to other parts of your life, man.
All I say is don't talk about it until it's done. You hadn't proved a thing.
It's been done.
No.
Over and over and over.
Look,
and it's being done right now.
If you hadn't been there, then you're just taking the word of people. You hadn't been there.
Money's in the bank. We going. We going. And let me tell you something. I'll eat crow. I've apologized for a lot of things in my ministry. But I hope y'all be willing to repent as well. Because we going.
He's dead serious about this. He's not letting this drop. He's going. And he's going to prove it to people. Although the relationship between these people, unfortunately, completely soured. Thanks to, in my opinion, Dean Odell. He, I believe, intentionally soured the relationship during the debate, got way more aggressive than was warranted, because he was trying to poach Greg Locke's viewers and stuff. That's just the way I see it. From about as objective a standpoint as I can possibly get. Anyways, oh boy, you think it got crazy with what we just watched? It gets even crazier than that. Listen to Greg Locke's next suggestion. The Antarctica thing, fantastic. Love everything about it. Listen to this one.
There's an outfit called Worldview that launches next year. They got these big capsules that they put...
Oop, sorry. Let me step back. I didn't mean to hit that button.
They got these big capsules that they put 6 people in. You know what I'm talking about? And they...
CGI. Dude yells CGI in the background.
No. Don't CGI me, because I'm going to put you in one of them. And they put 6 people in these capsules.
Oh, boy.
They put them in a balloon. They take them up to 110,000 feet. Now, look.
That's crazy high. Mount Everest is 27,000 feet, and that is like, you're so high up at that point that you need supplemental oxygen at 27,000 feet. I think you need it at 20,000 feet. They take them 110,000 feet up. That's insanely high. That's roughly 21 miles up. That is nuts. And it's certainly high enough to see the curvature of the earth, right?
Feet. Now look. I don't care about your fisheye lens. I don't care about your horizon. I fly around the world all the time. You ain't gonna see no, curvature at 35,000 feet. You're just not. So you win that one. But I love how you say, that picture of curvature out that airplane window is curved. Yeah, but when it's straight, the picture's okay, I guess, right? So you can't have it both ways. It's hypocritical.
Yeah, this is common of flat earthers. See, they'll pick and choose what they want to believe or the source that they use or whatever, and they'll come up with this idea that kind of explains this little problem over here, but the explanation they give breaks everything else that they believe. There's no overarching cohesion behind the belief.
Critical. So I contacted the people that have already done their tests and gone up there, right?
Oh boy.
It costs $75,000.
That is a whole heck of a heap of a lot of money.
You computing with me? $75,000 to put.
I wonder if Greg Locke could get a deal and get that cattle rancher guy to pay for it for him.
$75,000 to put one person amongst 6 in a capsule. I got a rancher friend in Texas. I called Worldview, I think is what I called. And I've got things worked out, hopefully, not date-wise. Got it down to 50 grand.
Greg Locke just cooked this guy. It was so fantastic to watch. So Greg Locke contacted not only Antarctica, or not only the government to get access to Antarctica and filled out all the forms and everything and is planning to take somebody with him. Not only did he do that, he contacted basically an agency that will send you up to almost space and pays for the whole thing. This guy is cooked.
50 grand. And got a cattle rancher in Texas gonna pay for the ticket. And I'm gonna let either Dave, Dean, Mark Sargent ain't going. Mark
Sargent is one of the more famous flat earthers in the movement. He's got his own weird theology around it, and he's got a pretty big YouTube channel. The other big YouTuber is Jeranism, and he was mentioned in this debate as well. Mark Sargent is, they're all kind of terrible people in my opinion, but anyway.
Mark Sargent ain't going. Mark Sargent ain't one of y'all, by the way, you know that. But you can choose whoever you want to. Whoever you want to. We'll get the cattle rancher, and since I've not seen it, and you've not seen it, I'm going to take your word for it. You ain't got to take no fisheye lens. You can just go right on up in that capsule, sip you some coffee. It's an 8-hour tour. Got them down to 50 grand. What a deal.
An 8-hour tour. Is it? That's from Gilligan's Island, right? Wasn't it an 8-hour tour in Gilligan's Island? Anyways. Oh my God, dude. Greg is willing to put 50, maybe 100 grand down of somebody else's money, I guess, to prove this. You know why, right? It's because Flat Earth has so completely eroded the theology of his church that he has to address it. It's like a heresy slipping in, basically. That's how he views it. These people don't believe in Flat Earth because of the science. Seriously, they believe in it, in his church and others, because of the Bible verses that were presented in favor of it. It's a heretical theology, basically. So Greg convinced this cattle rancher to pay 200 grand between Antarctica and the capsule going up. I'm sorry. And the capsule going up to resolve a heresy within the church. Oh, it's a 3-hour tour. Okay, not 8-hour tour. My mistake. I don't do Gilligan's Island very well. Sorry.
So when you get froggy, let's jump. You see, I believe in putting money where the mouth is.
Dude, I love everything about this.
I don't believe in just open-ended say, well, you never saw it, and you know that most people never will. Until now.
Yeah, that's why flat earthers use that. You've never seen it. Because most people never will. But Greg Locke is remedying that situation. I love everything about it.
So we going to send someone up, and me and him going to get sent out there.
Okay, so, hold on. Which one is this? Give me a second here. Is this the, yeah, okay. There's one more thing that I found interesting. Sorry, let me move the cat. Hang on. There's one other clip that I found kind of interesting about this whole debate. It doesn't really relate to flat earth, but I just, listen to this. The reason I found it interesting is because it relates heavily to Jehovah's Witness theology. But just check this out.
Now here's the other scripture we're going to go through. All scripture, the 2 Timothy 3:16, all scripture, even the parts that they want to call metaphors and poetry, and I think Pastor Greg called one, he said hyperbole, but hyperbole means exaggeration and lies, and God doesn't do that.
So Greg spent the previous, 20 minutes giving examples of hyperbole. I'm not sure if I included that. I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I included Greg's hyperbole, or I'm sorry. I'm not sure if I included Greg's metaphor examples in this or not, but, the Bible says that God uses the earth as a footstool. The Bible says that the earth rests on pillars. It says that you need to be born again. And Nicodemus was confused about this and said, born again, like come out of my mother again? And Jesus corrected him and said, no, born in the Spirit. There are metaphors all over the Bible. And Greg pointed that out aptly. Again, Greg, the Bible literalist, the Bible fundamentalist, is pointing out that there are metaphors in the Bible. It's just crazy, man. Anyway, he's 100% correct there, too. All of the verses that are given to support a flat earth in the Bible, they're all simply metaphors and stuff like that. Again, I'm going to talk about all of them on my Unfiltered YouTube channel, Owen Unfiltered, if you want to see it. Link should be in the description if I've already done it. If I haven't, just show up Wednesday and Thursday mornings, 10:30 a.m., 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time.
Do that. The Bible doesn't use those things. God means what he...
The Bible doesn't use those things, i.e., the Bible doesn't use metaphors, ever, is what he just said. There is no metaphor in the Bible or poetry. Literally what he said just now.
The Bible doesn't use those things. God means what he says. Now, there's symbolic language. I'll say, like, for instance, let's talk about a symbolic language. The Bible talks about a 7-head, 10-horned beast in the book of Revelation and in Daniel, right? But that 7-head, 10-horned beast, we find out, is a literal thing. It's going to be a world government. In fact, the United Nations has already become that, a 7-head, 10-horned beast. You have the 5 on the permanent council. You have the P5 plus 1, which is Germany, which 6, and then the EU head comes in when they have a serious problem, like the Iranian nuclear deal. So you have 7 heads, and then under that you have 10 rotating positions. So literally the UN, that's going to end up being a world government, has already 7 heads and 10 horns. So even though there's symbolic language at times in the Bible, it's talking about something that's real. Okay?
Okay, this is what I find super fascinating about this. He came to the same conclusion about this as Jehovah's Witnesses. So he believes the United Nations is the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns in the book of Revelation. Jehovah's Witnesses have a slightly more complex belief about it, based on some verses that they translated incorrectly in the book of Revelation and stuff. But anyways, the story about the beast with 7 heads and 10 horns isn't symbolism. It's part of a genre of writing like sci-fi or fantasy. It's called apocalyptic writing. It was a full genre that was found in the book of Daniel, the book of Revelation, the book of Ezekiel, and some others. Isaiah has some, I believe. The idea is you want to draw this big picture of something that's happening, and it may not relate to reality at all. It may be completely fictitious, but you want to draw this crazy apocalyptic vision of the world. It was, a lot of the time, entertainment. Sometimes it was meant to deliver a message. For example, the book of Daniel is dated incorrectly. It really happened, I think, around the 200s BCE. Yeah, 164 BCE. Okay, I'm sorry, 164. So the book of Daniel is written in 164. At this point in time, Rome controlled the area, okay? And the king that controlled, specifically their province was named Antiochus. And Antiochus was an absolute monster. He ordered, wait, you know what? This may have been the Greek Empire, not the Roman Empire. Well, anyway, he ordered the Jews in the area to sacrifice pork on the altar to Yahweh, and he ordered them to install an altar to Zeus in their, inside of the holy temple where no one else was allowed to be except for the priest, the Jewish priest, and a whole bunch of other stuff. Banned circumcision, which is a necessary part of their belief system, and everything else. Antiochus was awful. Now, Daniel talked about Antiochus in an apocalyptic way. He talked about the little horn that speaks vulgarities, basically, to the Christian people, or something like, he talks about the little horn that speaks vulgarities or something to God's people, something to that effect. And the little horn will be crushed, but he will return, and then he'll be crushed again permanently, something like that. The reason that it was all framed like that is because Antiochus died, but people kept coming in and claiming to be Antiochus after he died. There's this big rumor floating around everywhere that Antiochus was still alive and he's going to come back and he's finished what he started, basically. So Daniel was kind of predicting that Antiochus was going to come back and then he was going to be killed by God. But that never happened. Antiochus was just straight up dead. So sometimes apocalyptic literature was designed to convey a message. Sometimes it was written to convey a message that was intended to protect the person who was writing it from persecution. No evidence that was the motivation for the book of Revelation. And sometimes it's just interesting. I got to tell you, I would be interested in reading some apocalyptic literature today if it was still a genre of writing. That's not symbolism. That's not intended to be read into or any of that. The point of apocalyptic literature was to address things that were happening in their day at that moment, not to apply some broader meaning about society in 3,000 years or something like that. It's absurd. But despite that fact, despite it being as absurd as it is, Jehovah's Witnesses, and obviously Dean Odell, and Greg Locke, honestly, read those apocalyptic verses and think that they're talking about 3,000 years in the future. Ridiculous. Anyway, keep listening here. I just wanted to address that. This is Hanukkah, you're saying? Yes, absolutely. I believe this was Antiochus the king that they fought? Yeah, it was. How about that? I didn't realize Antiochus was the person that sparked Hanukkah. I knew it happened in 167, but I didn't realize that he was the one for some reason. Yeah. I'm telling the story of Hanukkah, basically. That's what the book of Daniel was telling. It is the latest Jewish writing in the Christian Bible.
And that was what we need to agree on. But all Scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine. So the moment somebody says, well, what the Bible says in the book of Job or whatever about creation doesn't matter, no, it matters. Because
Okay, so what he's saying is all scripture is given by inspiration of God and is profitable for doctrine. So literally everything in the Bible, you can base doctrine off of it. So they find a verse in there. Oh, and the Bible doesn't have metaphor, he said. So they find a verse in there that says earth is God's footstool. And they expand this out to turn it into actual, literal, real doctrine because it's no metaphor and it's designed to be doctrine. That is the mindset that got them to where they are. And it leads to absolute madness.
Because it's profitable for doctrine, right?
Oh, yeah, so that was the end of that one. Now, which one is this? Okay, so things start getting sour between Greg Locke and Odell, right? Greg, up to this moment, he had just this was about 3 hours into the debate, into the 4-hour debate. Now, this may be 3.5 hours. This is right near the end, right? And all the way up to the end, Greg Locke was charitable and good faith and kind and was just trying to teach people that the Bible does not back this up. It's a heresy. If you want to believe this for scientific reasons, fine. But don't believe it for biblical reasons. That's Greg's whole position. So Greg, you know, the opener, he said he wanted to be able to have coffee with people and everything after this. He didn't know bad blood between anybody. But I believe that Dean Odell came into this with the intent to cause bad blood. Even after this guy, Dean, dropped the hammer, Greg Locke didn't even realize that he had dropped it yet and was still being nice. Just listen to this.
You know, when we came this weekend, I was hoping that things would stay sweet and nice between us, but it's not.
Greg was sweet and nice. He was nice. Absolutely. I watched the whole 4-hour thing. He was charitable. He was good faith. He was kind. Dean came into this guns blazing.
Sweet and nice between us, but it's not the case. And so what I did was I rented a room at the Marriott for tomorrow morning if anybody wants to come have church with Fire and Grace Church.
Absolutely.
That's interesting. You know, I ran a conference for 3 years, I think, right after COVID and right before COVID. It was called Faithless Forum. I know the process you have to go through to rent an auditorium in a hotel room, or I'm sorry, to rent an auditorium in a hotel. I know that process. It is not easy, and it's not cheap either. This guy did this long before coming here, in my opinion, because he knew this was his plan all along. He was going to try to poach Greg Locke's people. And this is Dean Odell telling everybody in the church that he was holding a competing church service with Greg. Greg's service is 10 a.m. Sunday morning. Well, Dean's is going to be 2. And if you believe in flat earth, or you have questions, or you think Greg is just like deceived or whatever, come to my church service. I believe Dean Odell set out to poach Greg's people. And even up to this moment, Greg was still being so good faith and honest about the debate, he didn't realize what was happening yet in that moment.
Come have church with Fire and Grace Church.
Absolutely.
Because I'm not going to sit here under this kind of belligerent attacks and calling people names and stuff like
that. None of that happened. The guy, Greg, was so good faith about all of this that I can't even believe that he went with this line.
I'm just not going to, I can't come back here because of it.
Okay.
All right, but here.
Greg was so inviting and so nice. And like, I can't come back because of it? Really? Hey, back, no. Sorry, cat is scratching the couch. He's being a bad cat. Anyways, He knew what he's doing. He had this planned out from the start. You can't convince me otherwise. And Greg has, like, leaned into this entire time. Greg said, Dean Odell is a good pastor, a trustworthy pastor, and he's absolutely correct on everything, except for this one thing. So if you go to his church service, you're a Christian in my eyes, and you are just as saved as anybody. And he even encouraged people to look into Dean Odell and go to his church service and everything. That's how good faith Greg was through all of this. And he didn't even realize it when Dean Odell was poaching his people.
Because I'm not going to sit here under this kind of belligerent attacks and calling people names and stuff like that.
I think Greg is starting to realize now.
I'm just not going to, I can't come back here because of it.
Okay.
All right. But
So
here,
you can do it, but I can't be abrasive, and because then that hurts everybody's feelings.
Greg wasn't even abrasive in this entire thing. Seriously. There was no, I've seen Greg abrasive, okay? I know abrasive Greg Locke. This was not it. You want to see abrasive Greg Locke? Let me show you abrasive Greg Locke. Let me show you what happened once when he was trying to resolve a dispute within his congregation, basically. There was some drama going on where people believed that Greg was not following theological doctrine correctly. And you know what Greg did in response? Let me find it.
Hey guys, Don was next. I'm here. We have a big real love. And do you see this nonsense our governor signed? People like, hey guys, we got people under this tent right now.
This is it, right here. I knew what suit he was wearing. I was looking for the suit. And there's one more I wanted to talk about. Hold on.
I'm standing there.
Yeah. How long is this one?
I'm standing there.
This is the 1 minute long one. Okay, yeah. Here we go. This is abrasive Greg Locke when he wants to resolve some drama in his congregation right here. This is from, oh God, I don't even know how old this is. 2020 maybe? No. Yeah, July 30th, 2020, I believe.
We got some people under this tent right now. You have the hardest time keeping your mouth shut about your church. So I'm going to sit here for about 15 seconds and just give you a chance to leave anytime you want to. Because we need your seat anyhow, you complaining judgmental Pharisee. You can leave anytime you want to. I'm just going to sit here for a minute and let you walk out. If you can call me out behind closed doors, why don't you be man enough, put on your big boy pants, stand up and walk out right now in front of everybody, you coward. Whoa, I'm about fired up this morning. Turn this microphone up, I'm fired up.
Fired up. I think we should turn the microphone down if he's going to be yelling louder.
That's a big tent door. You can leave anytime you want to. You critical hypocrite, you Pharisee. If you think I'm going to stop just because you want me to, you have lost your mind. I'm just getting started good. I'm just now calling out Joe Biden. I'm just now preaching against the LGBTQ community. I'm just now calling out abortion. I'm just now talking about election fraud. I'm just now talking about Antifa and Black Lives Matter. I'm just now calling out this wicked nonsense.
That's abrasive Greg. Or an even more famous clip from this guy when he went to Dunkin' Donuts and lost his shit over it. I think this one was, yeah, this one was in 2020. No, this one was July 30th, 2020. I don't know when the other one was, 2021 maybe. But anyway, listen to Greg lose his mind over Dunkin' Donuts.
I'm standing there. I ordered my stuff. I've paid for my stuff. I've kindly, gently talked to the ladies that have talked to me every single day that are super nice. And then all of a sudden, here comes Nazi Skippy. He comes walking out with his little mask, and he's like, sir, I just want you to know. Now, by the way, he didn't have to embarrass me in front of everybody, but he did, which was probably a mistake because I'm not a real silent guy when you push my buttons too far. He's like, sir, the next time you come into my store, I want you to have a mask on. I said, okay, Lord, just help me. May I stay calm? May I not say a word? But I'm not a sheep. And so sometimes I just have to say things back. I'll go to jail over this situation. It is the golden calf. I'm sick of Christians saying things like this. Well, it's just a mask. No, it's not just a mask. It's a compliance device.
So anyway, that's abrasive Greg. Greg did not do any of that in this debate. Any of it. Dean Odell certainly knows Greg's personality and knows that he didn't see any of this. He came here planning to poach people, right?
But here, you can do it, but I can't be abrasive, and because then that hurts everybody's feelings. That's okay. I get it.
In all fairness, Odell was actually abrasive and a complete D-bag and said, I'm not doing this, Greg. I'm not going to have this debate with you if blah, blah, blah. When Greg offered just the lightest pushback. It was absurd. Like, definition of a snowflake over here.
That's okay. I get it. I get it.
Hold on a second.
I get it.
Has anybody, I've never called you a clown. You called, when you got up talking about this a few weeks ago, you said...
Hey, quit saying a few weeks ago. That was the first time I ever even mentioned it. I'm talking about tonight.
Tonight you have been insulting.
Tonight you've been insulting. This is really interesting because it shows that Greg, understands the difference between attacking ideas and attacking people.
And I wanted to keep it nice. And listen, let me say this very clearly.
You told me that
I think he muted his microphone there because the guy was talking and I didn't hear a word. And then Greg just jumped in.
You told me that I was involved in a deception.
You are.
And then when I say it, you're like, oh my goodness,
that's fine.
My feelings are hurt.
We believe each other's deceived in there. That's fine. But when you say moronic, idiotic, when you start going down...
I didn't call you or anybody that. I said we attack ideologies. And as far as I'm concerned, the ideology is moronic.
He understands the difference, right? Obviously. This is absolutely fascinating. Oh, yeah, that was the end. Okay, so now let me just show you how it ended. This is the whole clip at the very end where they were at each other's throats. The microphone gets thrown at Greg's face, the whole nine. Check this one out.
Well, first of all, the word planet does not exist. It's used one time in the King James Version, and that's a mistranslation because the actual...
It's always a mistranslation when it doesn't
Hebrew
fit
word,
your side.
Greg was so on point in this, it was crazy. It's always a mistranslation when it doesn't fit your side. I love it. Yeah, this is why I believe people should pick a translation and stick to it. And that translation should be the RSVN. Is that it? No, I'm sorry. Yeah, the Revised Standard Version, the RSV. That is the one that scholars use, and it's the most accurate according to the original language.
It's always a mistranslation.
The actual Hebrew word is mazalah, which means constellations, not planets. And that's a fact.
And that's not a fact.
I mean, one of his arguments, and I'm not even joking here, is the Bible says that the stars will fall to earth in the end and blah, blah, blah. And the globe head model of stars says that they're like gigantic burning balls of gas millions of miles away. And if that ran into Earth the way the Bible says, then it would destroy everything. But it's only intended to destroy like evil people, not everything. So if you're reading it literally, because there's no hyperbole, there's no hyperbole or metaphor in the Bible, according to Dean Odell. If you're reading the Bible word for word, then stars are much smaller than we think. They're just tiny little rocks in space, apparently.
Then you're deceived. All right?
If me being deceived means I believe in a spherical earth, I'm deceived, and you can just go ahead and leave and cancel this debate right now because you're not going to convince me what the Bible clearly says.
Now Greg realizes what he was doing, and now the good faith effort ends.
The earth is not flat, 1,000%. And if I got people in our church that think it is, that's great. I love you. But if you want to go to his little service in the morning, then go to his service in the morning.
I wouldn't have pushed people to his service.
It's not going to bother me one bit. The earth is not flat. It was disproven 2,500 years ago. You can't show me one verse in the Bible that proves that the earth is flat. It's nonsense. It's nonsense. We're not going to get anywhere else because here's the problem. You use 2 hours of PowerPoint presentation and your people are quiet. I use an hour and 15 minutes of the Bible and they get mad and start throwing maters.
Oh, it wasn't just Odell's people. It was everybody. It was even Greg's people that were jeering him and yelling and booing and stuff all through the debate. It was nuts.
Haters at me, okay?
All right,
so,
here's the deal. Let me just say this, and I'm walking out now. But
final words. Okay, lay him on me there.
But I want to say this. Oh, listen, your folks are standing up yelling, go, get out. Okay, you know what? That's fine with me. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. Here's the deal. I gave you the scriptures. He gave you his version.
It's always somebody else's version.
Hold on. No.
This is nonsense.
You came up with your scriptures and gave your interpretation of them.
No, this guy interpreted them completely differently. And a regular, normal, natural reading of this is not stars are really tiny. And they're going to be like meteorites that run into people. A natural, normal reading of this is not the earth is God's literal footstool and Jupiter is his hairbrush, okay? That's not what the Bible was saying.
I gave you the Bible interpretation.
I gave you the Bible. I gave more Bible than you did, for a fact, right there. All right.
Well, the guy cut Greg off, actually, after like an hour. Greg didn't even get to finish his stuff before he jumped up here and took the mic and started yelling at Greg.
All right.
Oh, really?
That's a fact.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about in your rebuttal, I'll keep my mouth shut and you tell me how wrong I was about your misapplication of the ring stamping in Job chapter 38.
Okay, this is one of his arguments, the ring stamping thing in Job 38. It's complicated, but basically the verse was used by flat earthers to say God stamped the earth down like a stamp, basically, and that meant that it was flat. But the actual real context behind the verse was it wasn't talking about like the earth being flat. It's talking about the sunrise coming over the mountains, basically. That's the natural reading of it. That's what was actually intended. But of course, Odell believes there are no metaphors. There's nothing. It's all literal. There is only ever literal exact verbiage and apocalyptic writing. That's it.
Chapter 38.
First of all,
hello, is it sunrise or not?
Not at all. I don't agree with you.
Turn his mic off. Get out.
Wow.
You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier. You're a Bible denier.
I love it.
That is ridiculous.
Did you see Greg knock that mic out of, knock it away? Dude's got reflexes like, I don't know, like the Karate Kid over here.
That is ridiculous.
For the record, Greg Locke does actually train in martial arts and stuff with actual martial arts trainers regularly. So he could actually kick just about anybody's ass, probably, even though he's super short. Greg Locke is like 5'7". I mean, short compared to some of his compatriots that he runs with, I suppose. 5'7" isn't really that short, but I mean, look at the height difference between just these two people right here, right? Anyways, he's actually pretty tough, from my understanding.
That is ridiculous. Bible denier. Just get out. Get the band up here. Woo! Let's worship the Lord. I ain't putting up with this nonsense no more. I gave you our platform. And y'all want to get up here with a bunch of nonsense. Come up here, band. Let's worship the Lord. We're going to actually do something spiritual in this room tonight instead of talk about flat earth nonsense. And by the way, if you go to this church and you're upset about me taking the Bible in its context and dealing with it, and you're going to keep sowing that discord, don't ever come back. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. I'm not listening. It's a last days deception. I do not care if this is a UFC smackdown to the mat. I would highly suggest that people keep their mouth shut, get in their car, and go where they need to be. We'll see you at 10:30 in the morning. We're going to have a packed house, and we're going to preach what the Bible says. If you believe the Bible, Global Vision, shout amen!
Yeah, I don't know if they started playing or not, but the feed cut eventually. One more thing I found interesting about this whole thing was that at the very end, people were like yelling at Greg. I couldn't tell what they were saying exactly. Something about I tested something for 6 years? I couldn't make it out. Anyway, my final thoughts on this. I find it interesting that the security in this had full flak jackets. That's what it looks like. I'm not an expert on this. It looks like they had flak jackets, like bulletproof vests. I feel like Locke totally cooked this guy in this debate and came super prepared, and I'm really honestly sad that it seems like this guy is turning down the ticket that Greg Locke offered to go to Antarctica and go 110,000 feet up in the air in a balloon. He seems to be turning the opportunity down, right? Why would he do that? He's a flat earther. He wants to prove his belief system here. That's your opportunity. Do it. Is it because he doesn't want this to be invalidated? He's made his whole life about it. I'm like, I don't know. But ultimately, that's how serious Greg Locke was about disproving this heresy in his mind. He wants to root this out completely. I'm actually, you know what? Hang on. To be perfectly honest with you, I was kind of surprised to find out that Greg wasn't a flat earther after some of his very recent comments, like this one right here. This came out late October 2023.
Of course we've been lied to by the government. Okay, I get that. Of course you can fake pictures. I get that. Do I believe we went to the moon? No. And you ought to sue your brain for non-support if you do believe we went to the moon. Nobody ever went to the moon. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
He thinks he's a moon landing denier. Is it really such a leap to think that he's a flat earth believer or whatever? Seriously. Anyway, let me know what you think about it in the comments. Absolutely fascinating. And I hope you guys follow me over to my own Unfiltered channel where I talk about this stuff all the time. Okay, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about... Wait, what's the thing we're talking about next? Hold on. Wait. I'm not actually sure which one I want to hit next. I guess I'll hit Elon Musk. Next, we're going to talk about Elon Musk. So give me 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media. Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Let's see here. Just checking through the chat. Wow, lots of people tonight. That's awesome. Welcome, everybody. You finally made it. Your atheist famous. Take a bow. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Now everybody should understand the context. I was mentioned in Greg Locke's debate. Zinka Cat, super excited to be here tonight. You always have the best crazy to talk about. I appreciate it. I try. So that's awesome. And welcome. Pepper Roberts, looking forward to all of the Locke debate. Owen, thanks for all. 100%. I'm excited to watch it again with you guys because I couldn't rewind and listen again because it was recording. It was not possible for me to do. So it'll be interesting to go through the whole thing line by line and talk about it on Wednesday. Nerico, welcome. We all know if the earth were flat, cats would have knocked everything off by now. For the feline overlord, tail bass, appreciate it. Absolutely. No question about it. They absolutely would have. By the way, I don't know if you guys heard about this. There was a Winnie the Pooh book that came out called Run, Hide, Fight. And it was supposed to teach kids what to do in an active shooter situation in school, right? Well, I actually bought one of the books. I bought it, Run, Hide, Fight. And I intend to go through the entire thing on my channel. If you guys want to watch, then stick around for that. It's going to be on my main channel. It even came with a curriculum. I'm sorry, a lesson plan. Lesson plan, not curriculum. Came with a lesson plan. We're going to go through the whole thing. Lesson plan and all. Crazy. How many times watching was your jaw on the floor? Oh my God. I was sitting there like with my mouth covered and everything at the end. Just my eyes wide open when he threw the mic at him and everything. I was like, oh my God, this is nuts. Oh, it was so fantastic. I love it to death. Which preachers do you think actually believe what they're saying? I think Greg genuinely believes what he says, but Kenneth is definitely BSing. I think they all believe, including Kenneth, to some degree. But they embellish and twist it around and lie and justify all the stuff that they want to do or whatever. Like Ted Haggard was caught basically with a male prostitute doing meth with him. And I don't think that means that Ted Haggard doesn't believe in God. I think he does. I think he's just like, he thinks it's okay to go off and do this or that or whatever, you know. I don't know. It's hard to tell. I guess some of them are probably cynical. Kenneth Copeland and Ted Haggard, they may be the ones that are cynical and fake. Hard to know for sure. Support the arts. Thank you so much for the sticker. Appreciate it. This was a real treat. Greg is my favorite evil villain. One moment he burns witches. The next he's Darwin and argues with that logic and science. Master Sith. 100%. It was great. Dude, I loved that debate. That was the most entertainment I've gotten out of a debate in a long, long time. Oh, that's just fantastic. I've come to find that not many people like hearing about the flat earth, though. I love talking about it. It's so fascinating, but people just don't like hearing about it, I guess. Kind of random, but is trading card game, i.e. Magic the Gathering and Yu-Gi-Oh! Allowed in JW? You may have mentioned before, at least Pokemon. Pokemon is questionable. It's from congregation to congregation. Harry Potter, out. Magic the Gathering, out. Banned. Yu-Gi-Oh! Wasn't really big enough for Jehovah's Witnesses to address that I can remember when I was younger. They're okay with card games as long as you don't let it consume you, you know. Anyway. Oh, it's just ridiculous, man. This whole thing. I love it. I love all this stuff. All right, let's hit the next one because we are a little bit behind on our stuff. So I have Musk, Hibbs, Robinson, Lara Logan. You know what? Instead of Musk... Hang on, what do I have with Musk exactly? Which clips? Instead, let's hit Hibbs. Hibbs, Robinson, and then maybe even Lara Logan afterward. Yeah, we'll do that. Okay. It's good to have a number of videos prepped like this, though. Okay, where is my outline for Hibbs? Here it is. All right, cool. We just reset the camera. Dude, I keep knocking the camera around. It's going to be a nightmare to edit. All right, cool.
I think across the border in Mexico, I think that's Gaza. That's the U.S. Gaza forming. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing rockets being launched from Mexico into Mission Bay, attacking the Navy, attacking homes. I wouldn't doubt it.
This is Jack Hibbs, a televangelist who is apparently completely detached from reality. I wanted to talk about what he had to say recently because this dude has the strangest takes on stuff. It is deeply entertaining to me to talk about some of the bizarre stuff he believes. I mean, that one right there is bizarre enough, right? The idea that Mexico is going to fire missiles at the United States because they're like the United States is Gaza. I don't even know where to start with that analysis. Anyway, check this clip out from this guy. This is recent, late November 2023. He had this to say about addicts.
What country in the world, when you go to an airport, okay, so where was I? Sacramento Airport, San Francisco International Airport, LAX, JFK,
that's in New York City.
Dallas. That when you go into the men's bathroom, for example, the first thing that you see hanging on the wall are needle, injection, waste containers for needle users.
Okay, well, first of all, that could be for diabetic people. You ever knock that one around your noggin? Additionally, I'm calling BS on this. I haven't seen any needle disposal sites at JFK, and I've been to JFK. Maybe I missed them. I don't know. I'm just, I don't trust a word out of the guy's mouth by default. I simply don't. I live like 30 minutes away from JFK or something like that. And I go there from time to time when I'm flying like to family's house or something out in another state. I'll go through JFK sometimes. Just nonsense. Now, as it happens, he did actually address the diabetic thing. Listen to what he said here.
He said, well, it's for diabetics. That's funny. We never had that before.
Well, we never had a serious weight problem in the United States to this degree either. Diabetes is the result of your pancreas having trouble pumping enough insulin into your body, basically. If you get a pancreas transplant, you're no longer diabetic. It's just failing pancreases, basically, because the person, because there's so much stress on it from a lot of weight, to my understanding. As the country gets heavier, diabetes diagnoses rise. Aside from that, you know what? If somebody's diabetic, they should have a place to put their syringes, right? Why is this guy so opposed to giving diabetics an opportunity to dispose of their needles? I lived in Huntington, West Virginia for a while, and it was the center of the opioid epidemic, the heroin epidemic, back in 2012 or something. I don't know. It was even mentioned, Huntington, West Virginia was, on John Oliver last week tonight. That's how bad it was. You could literally walk down any street and see a needle somewhere. You could walk anywhere and see somebody shooting up, probably. It was such a problem that the city found a way to deal with it. Here's what they did, okay? It's actually ingenious. Hepatitis C was spreading around Huntington, West Virginia also, in addition to other diseases. So to decrease the number of people that were dying from various bloodborne illnesses, to decrease the burden on the healthcare system and things like that, they opened a needle exchange program where addicts could go in, no questions asked, and get a bag of needles for free. They would give you one bag for free. That's 10 needles, I think. If you want more, you have to bring your needles back in. And that ended up working out in people's favor because a lot of people just throw their needles away and then they'd go and pick some up along the side of the road. Or a lot of people would sell their needles to somebody who didn't want to be in any record books or anything. I think they're like $20 a bag and $100 a box back when I was, in Huntington or something to that effect. So they would sell their needles that they got from the exchange to somebody. That person would dispose of them safely. And then they'd go along the street and pick up old dirty needles and put them in the bag. Return them to the needle exchange and get a new bag. The needle exchange served as a method of cleaning up the streets. Seriously. And taking a burden off the healthcare system. It couldn't have been a better setup. So even if what this guy is implying is true, which I seriously doubt, that that they even exist, it's better that they exist than not for diabetics and for addicts alike. Does he care about the logic of this? Of course not. Wait, why isn't this? Wait, it's not playing for some reason. Hang on. I don't know what was wrong with it, but hang on. Let me just... Okay, cool. Got it.
Waste containers for needle users. You say, well, it's for diabetics. That's funny. We never had that before. All of a sudden. It's okay, America. Be doped up out of your mind. Shoot up. Be stoned. Do whatever's right in your own eyes.
Does he think that's what the United States government is saying about drug use? Do whatever's right in your own eyes? Right. That's why there's no drug war that's been raging for decades, right? Absurd. I'll tell you what we need to do, in my opinion, about the drug problem, about fentanyl and everything else. Here's what I think we should do. Just like people had the needle exchange program, there are countries that have instituted a heroin exchange, kind of. It's not an exchange, but it's a safe injection site is what it's called, where you can go there, and the government will even give you some heroin if need be. I mean, this health clinic will give you heroin, just a little bit, and will give you a safe place to do it if you're addicted. And you'd think, wow, that's terrible. That will not end well. In reality, it actually does end extremely well. You know why? Because it takes the wind right out of the sails of the cartel members and of the cartels and of the people manufacturing this stuff. What's the point in manufacturing it in the first place if it's available? Now, who's going to go to a safe injection site to try heroin for their first time? It's not going to happen. The reason people try heroin in the first place, or any opiate at all, fentanyl, is because it's there. You know, they smoke weed every now and then, and their buddy who smokes weed, who sells it to them or something, they also have some fentanyl lying around that they've been trying. And you're like, hey, why don't you try this out? Here, just take this straw and sniff it. You know, it's the fact that it's there, it's around, and easy to access. If the government set up safe injection sites and took the wind out of the sails of the cartels, it wouldn't be that easy to access anymore. Like I said, governments have tried this, and it was successful. Gloriously successful, even. That's my take on it. But again, none of the logic, none of the science, none of the real solutions matter to this guy. He doesn't care about any of it. He cares about scaring the bejesus out of his listeners. That's it. Since we're talking about Jack Hibbs, let's talk about some of the other ways that he's historically scared the bejesus out of his listeners. Early May 2022, this is leading up to Roe v. Wade being removed by the Supreme Court, being deleted, if you will. The draft opinion had just released, I believe, saying that that's what they were going to do. And Jack Hibbs comes out here in this weird robe-looking thing and says this. Check it out.
Let me tell you something.
Tell me, Jack.
The Democrat Party is a death cult. Every single Democrat voted to kill babies up in Sacramento last week out of the womb. Kill them. Kill them, they said, kill them.
Kill them, they said, kill them. You're telling me that Sacramento Democrats, every single one of them, said that they want to kill babies. Kill them, they said. Like, those are the words they used, kill them? Really? I'm sorry, man. I'm not buying it. This is a perfect example what I'm talking about. Scares people half to death and convinces them that the other side, in the us versus them equation, is out to commit atrocities. When in reality, that's not what's happening. Okay, abortion is not an atrocity. It is a necessary piece of the medical system because people die without it. Now, you want to set the limit at 20 weeks? I'm all for that. Let's set the limit at 20 weeks. Unless there's some absolutely insane situation where, you know, they're 25 weeks in and they discover that there's no brain in the head or something like that. In cases like that, I think it should be able to happen after 20 weeks. But up to 20 weeks, it's not killing a baby. It's not even viable outside the mother up to that point. That's where I think the laws should sit. Now, I personally would take the decision to get an abortion more seriously at 15 weeks. But that's just me. I think everybody should be able to find that line for themselves. Here's a Democrat. Well, let me rephrase. Here is somebody to the left of hunting the homeless for sport, what he would label as a Democrat, even though I don't identify that way. Here is a Democrat right here saying that I don't want to kill babies. I'm not saying kill them. In fact, I'm saying do not kill them. But that nuance is lost on him and his listeners. You know why? He wants to scare people half to death. That's the goal. I mean, like, how absurd can it possibly get, really?
Kill them. Kill them, they said. Kill them.
Really? Come on.
And what's going to wake us up? Where's the pulpits?
Hopefully your mother's going to wake me up.
Where's the pastors? This is the last call. God is not going to put up with it anymore. If there was an ark being built, I could hear the doors, the hinges starting to creak as that...
If there was an ark being built. But isn't it interesting that there isn't? Huh. God's not going to put up with it anymore, huh? Curious. Seems like he's putting it up. Seems like he's putting up with it a little more.
The hinges starting to creak as that door's beginning to shut.
You know the funny thing about that? What he just said there? Listen one more time.
If there was an ark being built, I could hear the doors, the hinges starting to creak as that door's beginning to shut.
The ark didn't have hinges. You know why? They didn't have metal that they worked with back then. They didn't have pins. They didn't have nails. They had wood at best. How did they cut that wood down? Got me. How did they assemble an ark with no nails? Your guess is as good as mine. But somehow he seems to think they had hinges.
I could hear the doors, the hinges starting to creak as that door's beginning to shut. If this is Sodom and Gomorrah, like Star Parker talked about this morning, she works in Sodom and then flies home to Gomorrah here in California.
Is this some kind of a politician? Republican candidate, author, TV host, conservative political activist. Okay. Wow. Yeah, Jack Hibbs also has a long history of endorsing political candidates, for what that's worth, from the pulpit. That's just wrong, man. And it's actually illegal. He should lose his tax-exempt status for that. But does he? Of course not.
You can see clouds starting to form. I believe, friends, in the spirit, clouds are starting to form over the state of California. This is our last call. And woe to the pulpit that does not get involved to save a child's life. Woe to the pulpit that's...
to save a child's life. Oh, suddenly you care about children's lives, huh? So I guess you're going to expand the social safety net so that families who have young children will have more benefits. They'll be able to feed their kids because you care about children, right? He doesn't care about children. And abortion doesn't kill a child anyways. It is simply a clump of cells, no different than what I'm doing right now, scratching my nose. Matter of fact, I killed more cells just now by doing this than I would have if I got an abortion and happened to be female. This guy has no idea what he's talking about, but he'll say whatever it takes to scare his congregation to death.
Pulpit that stays silent at an hour like this. Isaiah chapter 10 verse 1 says, woe to those who decree unrighteous decrees, who write misfortune. They're called.
So, woe to those who write laws that aren't good laws. Is that what it said?
Who write misfortune.
Woe to those who write bad things?
They're called legislators. They're state assembly members. God is watching them. He says, woe to you.
Oh boy, you don't want God saying woe to you. That would be bad, right? I assume. He's not, he doesn't just dip his toes in abortion. He also, obviously, dips his toes in addiction and trans issues and just LGBT issues more generally. Listen to this one, mid-March 2021. He is actually with a guy named Tony Perkins. This guy is insane. And he has, and I think he's the leader of the, is it the Family Research Council, or, it's not Family Research Council, it's, wait. Oh my God, I don't want to know who his wife is. Just autofill, damn it. Oh, it is Family Research Council, apparently. Okay, for some reason I thought it was a different organization. He's the head of Family Research Council. I believe Josh Duggar of the Duggar family fame worked for Family Research Council also for a while. This guy's the head of it. Did he start it? He was a police officer and a television reporter before leading the Family Research Council. Holy Christ. That's nuts. When was Family Research Council established? Okay, I guess Family Research Council was established in 1983. Oh, Tony Perkins is listed as a founder, though. So, yeah, I guess he did found the organization. Anyway, check this out. This conversation between Tony Perkins and Jack Hibbs is psychotic.
Something has happened. I believe the answer is demonism. I believe it's satanic. I believe we're watching a global event take place that the Bible warned us about all along. And Satan traffics in the world of confusion. And if he can get someone confused in this area, he robs them of their God-given gender because he made that person a male or a female for a purpose.
Okay, wow. The anti-trans stuff busted out right out of the gate there. God made people the way that they are for a purpose. Fascinating. Well, you ever consider the possibility that God made trans people trans on purpose, if that's the case? Aren't trans people part of God's creation just like anybody else in his mind? Why is it that he can't stand a part of God's creation? Seems a little bit blasphemous to me to some degree, right?
To bring him glory. If Satan can get them confused there, young, early, notice Satan always goes after the young.
Oh, give me a break.
Then, if he can't kill him in the womb, he'll kill him in the head.
Yeah, there's his abortion shout out. Come on, man.
Head. and confuse them. I believe we're watching a global demonic sway of the wicked one upon our culture in the world. And that sounds harsh, but
That doesn't sound harsh for a televangelist. This is just cookie cutter stuff. What's he talking about?
I'm sorry, it's true. It's just true.
No, it's not. This guy cannot escape his deep disdain for anybody that is not like him. Here's another one. I just want to give you a full picture of who Jack Hibbs is. Early August 2023. This is one of my favorite clips of his.
So you...
Little context for what was happening in this moment, by the way. The government held some hearings. I think maybe Congress held hearings or something about unexplained aerial phenomena, UAPs, also known as UFOs, unidentified flying objects. It's come out that without a question, there are definitely unidentified flying objects flying through the sky at any given moment. And apparently the government shot one of them down and gathered it up. They went and pulled it off the sea floor after it fell or whatever, and are studying it. And it was alleged by one of the whistleblowers at the congressional hearing that they have a biological pilot that is not human. I don't know that I believe that, but that's what was happening in this moment in time, if you were curious. So Jack Hibbs has a little thing to say about this.
So you would normally think, UFOs, I knew it from other planets, all this stuff. Wow, Fox Mulder was right, X-Files, yes.
Well, that's an old reference, X-Files.
George Jetson, I get it.
Were there aliens in the Jetsons? I don't remember aliens.
And yet I think that what is truly behind all this stuff is what has been truly behind everything. For the record, I do not believe in creatures from other worlds. I do not believe in other planets. I don't believe in these creatures are visiting us.
Wait, he doesn't believe in other planets. Is he saying he literally doesn't think that there are any planets out there but Earth? I mean, I want to take the guy charitably, but if I take him charitably, I may be taking him incorrectly. I know pastors that believe that.
Are visiting us from other places. I believe it's demonic, demons, fallen angels, because you have no idea, nor do I, what a fallen angel is.
This is super fascinating to me. This is Jack Hibbs' response to aliens. For that matter, how do Christians react to aliens? Jesus comes and dies. Jesus comes and dies for your sins, right? On earth. What about the aliens? Did they sin? Did they have salvation from Jesus coming for them also? Did they have a copy of the Bible? What happens if they have a holy book that is completely 100% different from the Bible? So many ridiculous plot holes if you buy evangelical extremists' belief system. Unexplainable plot holes. So anyways, it totally makes sense to me that they're starting right out the gate that this is a demonic deception. What else could they possibly say about it?
You don't know what they can produce. You don't know what they can create. Well, Jack, we have UFO materials that have been collected from crash sites.
We have unidentified flying objects, yeah. Doesn't mean that we have aliens or that UFO was alien in origin. Just means we have materials that we don't know what they are yet.
I understand that. That has been scientifically tested.
Oh, suddenly he likes science. Okay.
I just believe the origin is an act of deception by Satan to get people duped.
what would the goal be? Why would anybody try to dupe people into believing in aliens? Like, what is the benefit? What's the motive here? If Christians believe in aliens, then they're not going to heaven? What? I don't understand. This stuff is so bizarre and wild to me. It blows my mind, some of the things that these televangelists say. Anyway, tell me what you think about him. I think he's an absolute scumbag. I'm sorry. He's just terrible. Let me know in the comments. All right, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about something, probably Mark Robinson. So give me 30 seconds, and we'll be right back. You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media: Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Awesome. Oh, thank you so much for gifting a Fireside Chat membership, Linda Juliana Hoeksha, I think. I appreciate it. That's awesome. All that jazz. There's a cool quote from an activist in the 80s who said, "God made me trans for the same reason he made me wheat but not bread and fruit." I'm sorry. For the same reason he made wheat but not bread and fruit but not wine, so I can take part in the act of creation. Interesting. I have to think about that a little bit. Huh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to give that some thought. Man, I would love to read this Winnie the Pooh book right now. That would be super interesting, but I can't. I have to scan it in and do it the right way. If you're not going to do it right, then don't do it at all, as they say, you know? Student prerequisites. None. This is the lesson plan. Course objectives. Familiarize young students with the concepts of run, hide, fight in response to a dangerous school intruder, active shooter scenario. The Stay Safe K-6 learning curriculum is specifically designed to reinforce and visually imprint children with the concepts of run, hide, fight, while utilizing age-appropriate materials that is less frightening to young minds. There are separate age-appropriate curriculums and materials for older children. Here's an alternative possibility. This, by the way, this was put out by a police think tank of some sort. I don't remember. Let me just toss this one around for you. How about we make guns a lot harder to access? If you want a gun, you can have one without question. That's not in dispute or being violated. But you have to prove to me and the rest of society that you know how to handle a gun. You know not to wave it around all willy-nilly. You know to keep the safety on. You know not to put your finger on the trigger unless you're going to shoot. You know not to point it at anybody, even as a joke. You know that when you are moving it somewhere, it should be pointed away from people under all circumstances. You need to prove that you know all that stuff to me, and you need to renew that license every year. I don't mean you have to sign a piece of paper and they send you a new one. I mean retake the class once a year. Institute a gun buyback program. Sorry, hang on. Institute a gun buyback program. If people want to sell their guns back to the government for money, they can. Not forced to, but you're welcome to if you'd like. I want to see that. I haven't even banned assault rifles yet. If we could do some of those things, maybe we wouldn't need a book like this. Run, Hide, Fight with Winnie the Pooh. Manhattan is a gun-free zone, largely. I mean, you're allowed to have one if you have a concealed carry permit and everything, but you have to, like, really jump through hoops to prove that you're capable of handling it. There has not been a school shooting in Manhattan in 30 years, I think. Wait. Last one in Manhattan was 1906. One person killed. 1906. Point is, there's a way to deal with this stuff. And Manhattan seems to have figured it out pretty well. Anyway, all right. Let's hit the next one. Oh, Jazz said something else. The reason I used the more outdated word is because that's how the activists said it in the original quote. That makes sense. I think that's acceptable if you're using it in proper context. I think that's fine. You know, there are circumstances in which I say words that are really harsh in proper context, you know. If I'm trying to talk to somebody about the word and the problems involved, or I'm directly quoting, like, Malcolm X or something, which I've done. You know, I think it's okay in context. Anyway, that's just me. All right, let's hit, i.e. not being offensive to somebody needlessly. Let's hit the next one, shall we? Let's see. Just making sure everything is good. Okay, cool. I think I have an intro for this.
It is flat out child abuse. Take your children and tell them they have to attend school. Don't have a choice. And then some of them will tell them they don't want you to have a choice where they go to school.
This is, oh my God, what's his name? Holy shit, hang on. This is Mark Robinson. I'm sorry. This is Mark Robinson, Lieutenant Governor of North Carolina. If you thought that was an insane thing to say, wait until you hear the rest of the quote. As a matter of fact, wait till you hear the rest of the clips I've got for you. He's running for governor this year, I believe, and he released a clip recently. I'm sorry, and he gave a speech recently where he said he believes God installed him as lieutenant governor to spread God's word through government. Why he would put Mark Robinson in the position of lieutenant governor of North Carolina rather than governor of North Carolina is beyond me. Why he would put him there instead of the White House? Who knows? But God apparently thinks the lieutenant governor slot is powerful enough to influence all of government, including the federal level. So anyway, listen to this. Late November 2023.
Michael Bloomberg came in and put $10 million into my race to defeat me.
By the way, don't believe a word out of his mouth. Everything he says is a lie sometimes. I've heard a lot of sermons from this guy where he's just busting out lie after lie after lie. So, seriously, don't believe him unless you look it up directly.
$10 million, and I barely have $1 million of my own.
I barely have $1 million of my own in my race. Really? You're running for governor of North Carolina. I don't believe that for a second. Just curious. This stuff should be public. I believe it's public, how much money people raise, okay? This came out in November. He has $2.2 million, according to Spectrum Local News. $2.2 million. During the first half of the year. Wait, I'm sorry. No, that's wrong. Robinson campaign email said that it would report raising $2.2 million during the first half of the year and holding $3.2 million in cash on hand as of June 30th. Huh. Thought you said you barely have $1 million. Stein's campaign, which kicked off formally in January, said that it would report raising almost $6 million, blah, blah, blah. I guess that's his competitor. Anyway, the point is, this is a perfect example of what I was talking about. A lie. The guy is lying. That's just flat out false. And you can't tell me he doesn't know how much money is in his own bank account or in his campaign's bank account. When you're running for governor, people want to know you. People will pay you $200,000 to go golfing with them. I know because this happened with Ron DeSantis. People believed he had a shot at being the next president, so they were, the lobbyists that is, they were paying tons and tons of money just to go golfing with the guy. Not asking any favors, they just want to know him. And when they do need a favor, they'll have his phone number. Not to mention all of the super PAC money. Like, it's against the law to donate more than $9,600, I think, individually. I don't remember how much you can donate. But a company that is completely unaffiliated with Mark Robinson, but just likes him, can do whatever they want. They can take as much money as they want from donors and just and they just so happen to use that money to push political ads that are favorable to Mark Robinson and negative against his opponents. A super PAC. That's what a super PAC does. Skirts around the campaign finance laws. So I don't know if Mark Robinson, I don't know how much he has. It's more than $1 million. At least $6 million, I would say. But I don't know how much his super PAC has, and that's what really matters. Anyways, he's just lying here. That's the point.
I barely have $1 million of my own. He knew all he had to do was throw his money at it and it would defeat me. But what Michael Bloomberg did not realize, Michael Bloomberg was not fighting me. He was not fighting me because God does not choose his people like you.
God chose Mark Robinson, according to him, to be lieutenant governor, and is going to choose him again to be governor, apparently, in his mind. That's psychotic. Apparently, God cares about the politics of this one country in the world. Absolutely.
So that they can prove themselves great. God chooses his people to prove his grace. And there's only one reason why I won that race, and it was the power of God.
God gave him the lieutenant governor position.
And nothing else.
Nothing else. Nothing else but God gave him that. That's insane. Okay, well, you know what? If that's the case, then why don't you just go home and sit on your lazy boy and let things play out the way they're going to play out? Like, you don't have, why are you even raising money? It was God and nothing else, right? Don't bother. In fact, you know what? Donate all the money you have to your opponent. That would really prove it to me. The guy knows that he's not being chosen by God and that God is giving him all of these advantages or whatever. He knows that. Even if it's just subconsciously, he knows it. Or he wouldn't be out here campaigning like he is. You know, he can claim anything he wants, but when it all boils down to what actions he takes, his actions show that he believes that God didn't choose him and that he has to work for all of this. It's like evangelicals claiming that the end is coming any 5 minutes now. Let me rephrase. It's like Jehovah's Witnesses claiming the end will be here any 5 minutes now. So there's no point in going to college. There's no point in, you know, learning anything except for trades, because that'll be useful after Armageddon. Except they've just started brand new projects to build gigantic media centers. 4 or 5 year long projects that they're working on. What happened? I thought the end was here. Why are you doing all of this if the end is right around the corner? They're their espoused beliefs and their actions are contradicting each other. Which one was this? Let's talk about what kind of person he is, okay? Because it gets bad. Late November 2023. Let me just show you what he had to say about how he would handle protesters.
That same spirit that's got them people laying down in the middle of the road in Durham is that same spirit that will break in your house, come inside your house and steal your stuff and assault you because they know that they got a weak man.
The same people that would lay down in the road in protest are the people that would break into your house. That is one wild leap in logic. So I guess he's saying that people who protest for the climate or whatever are burglars and deserve to be put in prison, what, prematurely before they burgle? Is that what he's saying? What was the other thing he said?
Come inside your house and steal your...
Wait.
That same spirit.
Oh, yeah, and the apple bag on people to lay down in the road. Oh, my God, I would never do that. I'm sorry. I couldn't. That would freak me out too much. I'd be too afraid of cars just running right over me.
Talk to because they know that they got a weak man, and even weaker district attorney, and weak judges that'll turn them right back out on the street.
Right, so when somebody burgles or murders or steals or whatever, we have a weak judicial system that will turn them right back out on the streets. That's what he says. That is psychotic. Our judicial system is not weak. As a matter of fact, we have the world's highest percentage of prisoners per capita, and by raw number, I believe, more prisoners in the United States than China has, even though they have 1.4 billion people and we have 330 million. Let me just fact check that to be sure. Okay. Wait. Hold on. God, just give me a final number. Why are they giving me all these? Okay. We got 1 million people in state prisons, 157,000 in federal prisons, and 636,000 in local jails. So we're looking at 1.8 million, basically. 1.8 million people incarcerated in the United States. Looks like China has 1.7 million, so we actually beat them by 93,000. Even though we have 330 million people in the U.S., and China has 1.4 billion, I believe. Russia is kind of like I don't know, a dystopian police state, a little bit, right? What do we got going on there? How many people do we have there? 433,000 in Russia. Huh. Interesting. I'm getting this information from Wikipedia, by the way. I think it's pretty trustworthy with just basic, non-controversial, non-politicized information. And even in cases where it's politicized, it's been pretty useful. Okay, it looks like we actually have 2,068,000, 69,000. So I was off by a little bit, and maybe it just updated differently. Wait a minute. Hang on. Okay, I'm not sure how reputable this website is, worldpopulationreview.com. But according to World Population Review, it says 2.06 million are incarcerated in the U.S. The next leader by per capita rate would be Turkmenistan. But you know, they only have 35,000 incarcerated. So yeah, the United States beats everybody, every single country, by like a lot. It's crazy. So anyways, we don't have a weak judicial system. That's complete nonsense.
I tell you this right now, they better be glad I'm not the mayor of Durham. Woo! It will be some knots on some heads tonight.
He's running for governor, okay? If he actually got that position, he would be situated in a position to actually put knots on people's heads, to have police beat the shit out of them. He would have that opportunity. Matter of fact, he probably has that opportunity now to some degree as lieutenant governor. I'm not sure. I don't know what the lieutenant governor has power over and what they don't, but another example of violence solving problems, apparently, in this guy's head.
Somebody would be icing their head tonight. And I get the news channels and bring it around and I say, you ever seen that show, that Woody Woodpecker show, that man, how many love smoke? Bring the camera down here, because that's what we're fixing to do.
Bring your camera down because we're going to do this, and you'll serve as an example to anybody else who wants to do it. If you are protesting in the street, trying to block traffic to bring attention to climate change or something, we're going to beat the shit out of you until you have lumps all over your head. And we're going to do it on camera so everybody knows what we do to people who do this kind of thing, i.e., exercise their right to protest peacefully. Arguably, they shouldn't be in the street doing this, but either way, it's peaceful protest, one way or another. Yeah, super constitutionalist guy we got on our hands, right? You want to talk about constitutionalism, though. Listen to what he has to say. Early October 2021. This is one of the sermons, I guess you call it, that put him on the map, got people's attention. By the way, he's also a pastor. He's lieutenant governor, and he's a pastor. This is a sermon he gave at his church.
It is flat out child abuse. Take your children and tell them they have to attend school. Don't have a choice.
That's like libertarianism taken to the extreme. Really? You don't want kids to go to school? What?
And then some of them will tell them they don't want you to have a choice where they go to school.
Okay, that's just a dog whistle, basically. I don't even need to get into it. Schools are zoned, and trust me, it's better that way. I live in Manhattan where high schools, are not zoned, and it is not fun. It is a train wreck of a mess, okay? You don't want that. Oh, my God.
You have to send your children here to school. Then when they get there, what do they teach them? Teach them a bunch of stuff about how to hate America.
How to hate America, you say? Like what? Tell me what things kids are learning in school that make them hate America. This is a joke. Does he believe the things that he's saying? I have to wonder. Is this all bluster? Is he just feeding into the culture war nonsense? Or does he really believe this stuff?
Teach them a bunch of stuff about why they're racist. Teach them a bunch of stuff about transgenderism and homosexuality. I'm saying this now.
Who's teaching kids about this stuff? What are you talking about? Nobody is doing this.
Transgenderism and homosexuality. I'm saying this now, and I've been saying it, and I don't care who likes it. Those issues have no place in a school.
Okay, no one is teaching kids about transgenderism. Like, what? Does he think that, like, they pull out a book and they all read it together about what being trans is or whatever? Like, what the hell is he talking about? You know, even that wouldn't be bad. Just talking about what being trans is. In fact, kids should know that, right? And what being gay is and stuff. Even that's not happening in our public schools. This is psychotic.
There's no reason anybody anywhere in America should be telling any child about transgenderism, homosexuality, any of that filth. And yes, I called it filth. And if you don't like it that I called it filth, come see me and I'll explain it to you.
So he thinks that being gay or being trans is filth. I mean, at least we know where he stands with these issues, right? If we can take anything as consolation out of this, I suppose it's that he just lays his cards on the table, doesn't beat around the bush. But this is absolutely psychotic. Straight up psychotic. Why is it that the Republican Party seems obsessed with attacking minority groups? What did the LGBT community do to this guy, to him, to anybody else in the Republican Party? Have they ever had a bad experience? Have they even met a gay person before? Gay people, trans people, anybody in the LGBT community, they're not trying to indoctrinate children. He has to know that, right?
It's time for us to stop letting these children be abused at these schools. And it's not going to happen till the people of God stand up and demand different.
Jesus Christ, dude. So it's not going to happen until you stand up and do something about it. Psychotic. That is, by no stretch of the imagination, the most psychotic and disturbing thing he's said. Listen to this, late November 2021.
We're facing a federal government, and let's face it.
We're facing a federal government, and let's face it.
It's tyrannical.
Oh, yeah.
It's tyrannical.
It is tyrannical. Guys, this is the type of government the Second Amendment was made for.
Guys, this is the type of government the Second Amendment was made for. What is more psychotic? Tell me what you think about this in the comments. Is it more unglued from reality and insane for somebody to say this kind of thing, that the Second Amendment, it's time to use the Second Amendment on the government and the people? Or is it more psychotic and unglued from reality to talk about children being groomed by the LGBT community in elementary schools or whatever? Which one is even crazier? I mean, are they both on the same level? I don't know. You know, every time we talk about this, I always have to go back to Doug Mastriano's campaign. He was running for governor of Pennsylvania, and he got close in 2022. Almost took it. But on the campaign trail, he said this.
On day one, the sexualization of our kids, pole dancing, and all this other crap that's going on will be forbidden in our schools.
Pole dancing in schools. Go on.
On day one, all the graphic, pornographic books that are in elementary schools will be pulled out.
Pornographic books and pole dancing in elementary schools. That's what we're dealing with right now. That's where these people's heads are at. Which is more psychotic? Honestly, I think I'm leaning toward the stuff they say about the LGBT community and the pole dancing in schools and stuff. I think that's more psychotic. I mean, this is more dangerous, obviously, encouraging violent revolution with guns. That's more violent and disturbing, but my God, the stuff they say about the LGBT community is just whacked out. Seriously. And check this one out. Late November 2021. This was one of the early ones that put him on the map for me, too. He's given a sermon, I believe, at his church.
But I can't stand to turn that TV on, and I don't want my grandkids watching that television. Because I don't want to have to explain to my grandkids why two men are kissing.
You know that I've only ever in my entire life seen two men kiss a total of maybe twice or three times. And I am about as pro-LGBT as it gets without being in the community. This is not like this big thing that's this huge problem, like men kissing left and right. And for that matter, why do you even care? What is so disturbing about two dudes kissing that isn't disturbing to you when Two women kiss, or a man and a woman kiss. Why is that one disturbing to you and no other? It ultimately boils. I'm sorry. It ultimately boils right down to bigotry and hatred. That's it.
And I don't care what anybody thinks that. Get mad at me if you want to.
I'm not mad at him. I just think he's a scumbag, and he's like misinformed on this whole thing, or intentionally saying this stuff because he just doesn't like people. I don't know.
You know, child got no business seeing no two men kiss. If they did, God would have made it that way.
He did. Are you kidding me? How do you think this exists? Because God made it that way. Didn't God create everything on planet Earth in his mind? What do you mean God didn't create it this way? Also, again, I've seen two dudes kiss twice in my life, okay? And I scroll through Reddit and Twitter and watch TV and watch all kinds of stuff all the time. Only twice. And one of them was a TV commercial, I think, that was provocative. And it was, I think, during the Super Bowl, maybe? I don't remember.
Care what anybody thinks that. Get mad at me if you want to. You know, child got no business seeing no two men kiss.
I could say children have no business seeing a man and a woman kiss. How do you feel about that one?
If they did, God would have made it that way. He didn't. Everything that God made serves a purpose. I don't care how ugly it is. Let's get a little ugly.
Well, that's interesting. Okay, he's very obviously, like, repulsed by the idea of two men kissing, right? I mean, at least he's claiming to be. I'm going to take him at his word on this one, although even that may not be a safe bet. Let's assume that he's telling the truth, that he's repulsed by that. And he says, everything that God created exists for a reason, even ugly things. Let's get a little ugly. And he's about to talk about a cow pie, basically, fertilizing grass and stuff like that, you know, flowers and plants and things. Why is it that he sees something that he obviously doesn't like, two dudes kissing, and doesn't connect the dots that God created that too? Why doesn't he, like, take that extra step?
I want you to think about what the cows leave behind. It don't get no uglier than that. But you think about what can be done with what the cow leaves behind.
Honestly, I've never thought about what I could do with what cows leave behind, but I'm with you so far. Go on.
Why is the grass in that cow pasture so green? Why is it so lush? Could it be that ugly stuff the cow left behind? See, God created that. He made that for a purpose. Everything that God made, from the foul odor of what the cow left behind, to the decaying body of every living creature, to the maggots that eat those dead bodies, to the flies that fly around what the cow left. God made all those things.
Huh. Interesting. God made all of those things, you say. But he didn't make gay people. Those are the one exception, huh? Okay.
For a purpose. Will somebody please explain to me the purpose of homosexuality? Let's get down to brass tacks. What?
He's acting like he's got a W here. Hang on, sorry. He's acting like he's got a W here, like he just did a 1-2 knockout punch on the LGBT community. Like you can't explain why gay people exist.
Let's get down to brass tacks. What is the purpose of homosexuality? What does it create?
Okay, what does it create? It doesn't have to create anything. Not everything has to create something. But I'll tell you, this is commonly brought up in evangelical circles. how did being gay evolve in people? I mean, of course, evangelicals don't believe in evolution or don't accept evolution. It's something you accept or reject, not believe in. They don't accept evolution, but they're trying to kind of poke holes in it by saying gay people shouldn't exist if evolution is real. So I actually did some research on this out of curiosity. I looked into it, and from what I can tell, throughout human history, it's been useful and valuable to populations of people to have some of those people not reproducing, but still wanting children. Because a lot of the time, mothers died in childbirth, or they just didn't want the kid anymore, or whatever. You know, I'm talking 100,000 years ago, or 200, or even 1,000,000, whatever. There were a lot of complications and a lot of orphans. And it was evolutionarily advantageous to a population to have people around who wanted kids, but didn't want to go through the process of creating one themselves. That is likely why evolution exists in society today. Because there's one more person in the family to contribute, to help, and take care of kids. Anyway. Yeah, they act like it's, you know, a knockout punch. It's just absurd. The whole thing is ridiculous. I mean, I heard this from Jack Hibbs and all kinds of people. I think I heard this from Herschel Walker as well. You remember that dude? Oh, my God. It's just not the win you think it is. I mean, there are plenty of really interesting questions about evolution, you know? Like, why do human beings find baby cats cuter than baby humans? You would think evolution would push us to see baby humans as the cutest things on planet Earth. Why are baby kittens cuter? That's an evolutionary question that I feel is unanswered so far. It doesn't mean it's fake. It just means we don't know yet. But, you know, all of that nuance goes right over their head. Let me know what you think in the comments. All right, let me take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about something. Not sure what. All right? I'll talk to you guys in just a second. You're listening to the Telltale Channel. Don't forget to check me out on all social media. Patreon, Twitter, Teespring, and Etsy. All links can be found in the description or on my website, telltaleatheist.com. Welcome back. Let's see. Santos got kicked out of Congress, I saw. And you know what else happened? When Santos was kicked out, he's burning everything to the ground. He's throwing dirt all over the place. On Twitter, he's been talking about all the stuff that he learned about congressmen and their ethics violations and dirty dealings and everything. Oh, I love it to death. Keep going, George. Keep going. I'll call you whatever the hell you want. I'll call you Anthony DeVolder, George Santos, or Kitara, whatever. You name it. I will call you whatever you want if you just keep dropping that dirt. Oh, God, please tell me he didn't delete him. Oh, didn't delete him, I hope. 5 hours. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, right here it is. Love it. Monday's fourth ethics report will be filed on Congressman Menendez, not to be confused with the senator. While Congressman Menendez has not been invoked by the diligent investigation of DOJ into his father, there remains a question of what did he know and when did he know it. The complaint to seek clarification from the freshman congressman on his involvement with his father's overseas dealing over the years and any potential compensation he received. I think it's a fair point to make sure that we weed out the doubt surrounding Representative Menendez and his business associations. I love it, dude. Keep dropping this dirt, man. Let's see who will be the Let's see who will be the Republican that will have the testicular fortitude to pick up my privileged motion to expel Bowman and reintroduce it. Let's talk about hypocrisy. Can someone ask Nicole Milo stock tips? When did she become a savant in stock trading? The signature bank trade she did reeks of insider trading, much like Paul Pelosi's every trade. Nicole is in it for herself. Just look at her record, and it speaks for itself. Monday, I will be filing an official complaint with the Office of Congressional Ethics against N. Malatakis, or I'm not sure if that's right, regarding her questionable stock trading since joining the Ways and Means Committee this Congress. Before joining the committee, the Congresswoman didn't have any active trading habit or high-volume stake. The question is, what set of information is she trading with? Keep going, George. You know what? You tell me what you want me to believe, and I'll believe it, bud. You want me to believe that you're the quarterback for the Patriots? You got it. You're the quarterback for the Patriots. Keep busting this stuff out, man. I'm begging you. I love everything about it, man. Please keep busting this stuff out. Just a Voice, thank you so much for gifting the Fireside chat memberships. I lived in Provincetown for a summer and didn't even see two gay people kiss. Lol, keep calling this garbage out, please. Take care. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming. Yeah. I'm in New York City. This is like the most left-leaning city on planet Earth, practically. Well, in the United States, I think, probably. And tons of gay people all over the place, you know. And there are gay people around. They tell me that they're gay, and I know gay people. But I never see them kiss. A matter of fact, I almost never even see them hold hands. It's weird how little PDA they show, huh? Maybe that's because they don't feel safe, justifiably so, to show that PDA, sadly. Anyway. He's going to return his Nobel Prizes, right? Like, some of the shit he said is just mind-blowingly ridiculous. Santos, that is. But you know what? Like I said, I'll believe him. You tell me what you want me to believe, and I'll believe it, bud. I'm your Huckleberry. Okay. I want to hit Laura Logan, but first, let me use the bathroom real quick. Just take me a second. While I use the bathroom, let me play something interesting. Let's see. What do we got going on here? I'm sure I have something open here, right? Let's see here. More lies exposed. I mean, it's just going to take me 30 seconds. It's already taken longer than that to pick something out. I'm sorry. To pick something out to watch. All right, here, watch this. Flashpoint Live presentation, day 2.
Anymore, especially in our churches.
BRB.
And so it's been very encouraging to see that that is not the case and that we can make a difference through our churches and through the gospel.
Wow. You said you've been encouraged and you came to encourage others. Talk about that.
Okay, so this is actually, I am a freshman, and so this is all new to me, and I just stepped out in obedience to Christ. And
all right, so when you say, okay, hang on. When you say you stepped out in obedience to run?
Yes.
And were you surprised?
I was a little hesitant.
Yeah.
I was, I had the whole going through the Moses phase because I'm not a public speaker, and look where I'm doing right now.
Okay, just, there's
obedience. Yeah.
all these people in the room in 40 countries, tens of thousands of people watching, so go ahead.
No pressure, no pressure. But you know what? It's not my capabilities, it's God's capabilities through me.
There it is. That's good.
And so I'm here to serve the people, and the answer is the church. It really is us.
No, what do you mean the answer is the church? I think you need to lay it out for people because they're going, "Yeah, but do you really think that? What does that mean to you?"
What does it mean to me? Well, a lot of the duties that we have allowed the government to take over is actually the duties that belong to the church. So,
like what?
let's say.
Okay, what did I miss? Did I miss anything good? Now I gotta listen and see what was happening. Hold on. Gotta fix my chair wheels. Hold up. I'm getting there. Wait. Wait. God damn it. There we go. I think I got the chair to okay. Yeah. I think we're good now. It's part of being perfectly centered with the screen. I have to get the chair wheels evened out perfectly. Hold on. Okay, let me just listen to like a second of this, because I'm curious what I gave you guys to listen to. Hold on.
Obedience to Christ. And
All right, so when you say, okay, hang on. When you say you stepped out in obedience to run,
yes.
and were you surprised?
You know, I was a little hesitant.
Yeah.
I was, you know, I had the whole going through the Moses phase because I'm not a public speaker, and look where I'm doing right now.
Okay, just, you know,
What, is she running for office?
That's obedience, yeah.
all these people in the room in 40 countries, tens of thousands of people watching. So go ahead.
Trying to make her nervous. Whatever. Anyways, yeah, that's Flashpoint. They're nutcases. We'll get to that eventually. But let's hit the next one, Lara Logan. I'm actually super interested in this one. I've never covered her before. I know of her, and I have for a long time. Let me reset my camera. All right, cool. Oh, and you look totally comfortable. Well, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. Yeah, you have to be comfortable in this job. When you're sitting here for 4 hours at a time talking about stuff, you've got to be comfortable. All right. I think I have it. This is an intro, right? Yeah, this is an intro. Okay, cool. Let's hit it.
And they may think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum. You know, the ones who want us eating insects, cockroaches, and that while they dine on the blood of children.
Yeah.
Those are the people, right? They're not going to win. They're not going to win.
This is Lara Logan. If you're unfamiliar, she's a famous QAnoner. And she is so deep in the QAnon rabbit hole that she was banned from Fox News, if you can believe it. And then she was banned from Newsmax for something else. That's how deep in the rabbit hole she is. So I want to talk about her. I want to talk about what she believes, what got her banned from these various different outlets and everything. Unfortunately, she was once a 60 Minutes correspondent and even a CBS News correspondent. She was very high up in the mainstream media apparatus until this. Talking about, now she's stooped as low as talking about how the elites want you to eat bugs and stuff. Like a full-blown QAnon conspiracy. Just give you a little context for who she is. Late November 2022. Listen to this one.
I spent so much of my life as, proud to work at 60 Minutes as a correspondent and as the chief foreign correspondent at CBS News.
Seriously, it just blows me away that she was that high up.
And I worked with great people. What has happened to you? Did you lose your minds? I'm sorry, but we've got people like Balenciaga and all these fashion brands that are pushing pedophilia and Satanism.
No, we don't. You live in a fantasy land. There was a picture that was taken by Balenciaga's artist. They got some, I think it was like some contractor to take a picture, and in the picture frame, it was a kid that was like, it was showing off a new outfit or something, and in the frame were some documents for some questionable court case. I don't remember. The guy that took the picture was a scumbag. Balenciaga is not engaging in this worldwide effort to take advantage of kids or whatever. Come back to reality with everybody else.
And I'm the crazy one?
Yes. Yes, you got it.
No, 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 no. You're not going to rewrite history. You're not going to convince me of something that's not true. You're creating 400 different types of gender, and I'm the crazy one?
Who's creating 400 types of gender? And for what it's worth, gender is a personal identity that you communicate to the rest of the world. You can be whatever gender identity you see fit. Now, when you deal with, yeah, I'll just leave it at that. Why does she care? Why is this any of her business?
I don't think so.
As if this is a huge problem that's like overtaking society or something, like trans people are just exploding or something. Like, come on. Why is it that far-right extremists always find a minority that they can zero in on, and then they zero in on them, and they're relentless? They won't leave them alone. Why?
Gender, and I'm the crazy one? I don't think so. Okay, that's not how this works. I'm not crazy because I'm not going to believe some crap that you made up, all right? And it is crap that you made up to manipulate and control.
So people being trans is just stuff that's been made up to manipulate and control people? What? Notice this is on Lindell TV. That's the only network that'll take her, and that's not even a TV network to my knowledge. Maybe that's on Roku. I'm not sure. But it's mostly... Yeah, look. It says on the bottom. Roku, Apple TV, Android TV, and stuff. And I guess it's on his website, of course. So, just psychotic, man. All of it. All right. Let's get into it. Why was she banned from Fox News? Late November 2021. This is the appearance that got her banned. Right here.
And so in that moment, what you see on Dr. Fauci, this is what people say to me, that he doesn't represent science to them. He represents Joseph Mengele, Dr. Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor who did experiments on Jews during the Second World War and in the concentration camps. And
she compared Dr. Fauci to Mengele. That is about as depraved as it gets, for real. What is wrong with her that she would say something like that? That was the thing that got her banned from Fox News. Surprisingly. I can't even believe that happened. Like, doesn't Fox News revel in people talking smack about others like Fauci? For the record, if you don't know Joseph Mengele, I think that's how it's pronounced. Mengele was a Nazi doctor that worked at Auschwitz. Auschwitz was a death camp where people went to... where people went to either go into forced labor or be killed in a gas chamber, or go into forced labor until they couldn't anymore. Then they were sent to the gas chambers. And every now and then, Mengele decided to pull one off the line and do medical experiments on them. And there were no limits to what he was willing to try, because they're going to die anyways. Who cares? And they're not even human. So nobody cares about their suffering. No one's going to hear their screams. Hell, maybe we'll just sever their vocal cords so they can't scream. That level of psychotic stuff, for real. That's the kind of thing that Mengele engaged in. And it wasn't just Jews either. It was like... communists, socialists, Jehovah's Witnesses dealt with some of this. I mean, it was Jews in large proportion. Like, proportionally, the Jews were the target, but there were still hundreds of thousands of others, as opposed to the millions of Jews that were being attacked like this. So anyways, I don't want to get too graphic with it, but see, I'm trying to find just a couple of basic examples that are not too graphic for you. Kind of thing that a kid could hear and it would be okay. Just looking here. Yeah, I'm just reading through. I don't want to show it on screen. I'm just reading some of the things that he did. I don't want to show it on screen because it could be too much. Okay. Yeah, okay, here we go. Oh, yeah, there's some really, really horrific stuff that I don't want to get into. I remember some of this. All right, let me just give a couple of examples of things that he used to do that were psychotic, okay? He would operate on patients with no anesthetic. I mean, open heart surgery. Wouldn't put them to sleep, wouldn't numb them. He would simply tie them down and then start working on stuff. Also gave them stomach surgery, because why not? We'll just see what happens, right? Like I said, they're going to die anyways. They're not even human. That's the mindset the dude was in, is psychotic. He had no empathy. I believe he was actually psychotic. Clinically, probably had psychopathy. I would bet money. Just an inability to connect to his fellow man in any way. He also removed the eyes of inmates at Auschwitz and pinned them to the wall, like with a thumbtack. Because why not? I mean, not that they could see what just happened, of course, but he could, and he enjoyed that, apparently. He just reveled in hurting people. Forced inmates to undergo drug and x-ray treatments that were unnecessary and that they didn't even know what it was for. There's some stuff about pregnant women. There's stuff about disabled people. He would perform surgeries on people, like kidney transplants. He would remove somebody's kidney to give it to a guard that needed it or something, and he wouldn't give them anesthetic, and he wouldn't give them painkillers afterward either. You know, that kind of deal. And like I said, I've read a lot of books on this, and it gets really, really messed up, man. But like I said, I'm trying to avoid the really, really bad stuff. So the stuff that I've set up to this point is tame, is what I'm saying. And Lara Logan believes that Fauci is like Mengele.
He represents...
Hold on. He was known for testing on twins. There are stories of studies he did on twins that are just horrific. I have not heard of the twins. Wow. Like I said, I don't want to get too graphic with it, but it's the bottom of human morality. It's the kind of thing you wouldn't do to a dog. It's as disturbing as it gets. Again, I didn't even tell you the messed up stuff. I told you the surface level stuff. Anyways, yeah, so Fauci's Mengele, apparently.
Science to them. He represents Joseph Mengele, Dr. Joseph Mengele, the Nazi doctor who did experiments on Jews during the Second World War and in the concentration camps. And I am talking about people all across the world are saying this because...
Really? People across the world are saying that about Fauci? Who? Name one other person. Other than Marjorie Taylor Greene and Alex Jones. They actually agree with her on that. Name one other person other than them in some kind of position of authority around the world. everybody should be disgusted and offended at what she just said. By the way, this is like QAnon level stuff, what she's saying here. We haven't even gotten into the full-blown QAnon stuff, but she is a QAnoner. Keep listening here. So, Fauci's like Mengele.
The response from COVID, what it has done to countries everywhere, what it has done to civil liberties, the suicide rates, the poverty, it has obliterated economies. The level of suffering that has been created
is nowhere near the level of suffering that was experienced at the hands of Joseph Mengele. Full stop. The level of suffering that took place in the United States is truly bad as a result of COVID, but Mengele, like I said, I didn't even tell you the worst, okay? I don't... Does it get worse than Mengele? I didn't know that human beings could do that to other human beings, some of this stuff, really. I don't want to tell it to you because it's so horrific. It could actually cause like PTSD symptoms to hear some of the stuff that Mengele did. Just hearing it. For real. And she thinks Fauci's like Mengele. That's insane. Does she know what Mengele did?
economies. The level of suffering that has been created because of this disease is now being seen in the cold light of day, i.e. the truth. And people see that there's no justification for what is being done.
Of course, this whole thing is built on the premise that Fauci manufactured COVID personally and released it into the wild as an experiment on people or something. That didn't happen. That is absolute psychosis. She is not living in the same reality as us if she believes that, and she does. But even doing that, I'm hard pressed to say that it's as bad as Mengele, man. I don't know of a single thing that's worse than Mengele, truthfully. Anyway, that's a thing that got her banned from Fox News. Wait, what was... After being banned from Fox News, she was banned from Newsmax also, and we're going to get to that in just a second, but listen to what she had to say after being banned by Fox, late October 2022. Hold on, was that immediately after Fox? Let me just double check. November 2021. Okay, no. Listen to her response about being banned from Fox News. This is on Lindell TV. I think it's about a year after she was banned or so. But she's addressing some of the problems that she has with society that she couldn't say anywhere else, you know, because she's censored.
The reason I believe that people reacted that way is it's all about the children. The question they don't want us asking is...
Who is they? What is she talking about? What authority out there holds the title of they in her mind? What does she mean? She means my enemy. That's about as specific as it gets.
It's all about the children. The question they don't want us asking is, where are all the missing children? What happens to these children? How can hundreds of thousands of kids go missing in the United States every year and nobody knows where they are?
That's a good question, and I will answer that question for you. This is how QAnon got famous. The hashtag Save the Children. They went viral, QAnon did, off of that hashtag, and claimed that 400,000 children go missing every year in the United States and are never found or whatever. What happens to them? That would be a valid question, 100% legit, except that's not actually how many children are taken and never return. That number accounts for all police reports of missing kids, anywhere between the ages of 0 and 18. Missing minors, really, not kids, but minors. Between 0 and 18. Including the reports of a woman who was shopping at Claire's with her little 4-year-old, and the 4-year-old turns around and sees a Baskin Robbins right across, you know, the little mall walkway there. So the 4-year-old walks across the mall, gets into the Baskin Robbins stuff, and is eating ice cream. Woman freaks out, realizes her 4-year-old is missing, calls the cops. The cops show up, and they search for the kid. They find him in the ice cream bin at Baskin Robbins, right across from Claire's. So the report was written up because the kid was missing and then recovered. A lot of the missing persons reports are that. Most of the missing persons reports that QAnon cites, the 400,000, the vast majority are accounted for. They were missing. They were found afterward. I forget what the number is, 70% maybe, 70, 80% were runaways. Kids who had a bad life at home and didn't want to be there anymore and left, basically. They were found. They were, you know, talked to by detectives or whatever, and then let go their merry way. That is the majority of the cases. So this whole 400,000 kids go missing in the U.S. every year thing is nonsense.
And nobody knows where they are. They just...
No, everybody knows where these kids go. In all fairness, you know, there are murders that take place of children, of adults, of everybody. There's probably some of that. 40-something% of murders go unsolved. I don't know if that statistic has changed since I've looked last. It'll probably be at the bottom here when this is edited. And I mean, there are all kinds of, you know, sometimes they're sold into child's trafficking rings. I think that's an extremely uncommon case in the United States. But I suppose it happens, I imagine. Statistically, probably not zero.
Of kids go missing in the United States every year, and nobody knows where they are. They just vanish? I don't think so. Every sex trafficking ring worldwide knows, bring the kids to the United States. That this administration...
Wait, how does she know that? How does she know that every ring in the world wants to bring kids to the U.S.? And why?
That this administration is participating in the trafficking of kids because they're paying companies, LLCs, and nonprofits and church groups. They're paying them to take these kids and disappear them, including the report that you showed.
The White House, the Biden administration is paying companies to take kids? This is surprisingly, I can't believe I'm even saying this, beyond QAnon at this point. This is nuts.
Including the report that you showed, have talked about the blood of young children being the secret to anti-aging.
Okay, what she's talking about there, I just want to address that. I know I'm stopping a lot, but she mentioned an article that talked about children's blood being the secret to anti-aging. That's not actually what the article was about. Scientists were experimenting with mice and found that older mice, if injected with the blood, if they receive a blood transfusion from younger mice, it helps them live longer. So they did these experiments in human beings. Blood is donated from an 18-year-old, you know, through the Red Cross or whatever, and then that blood is sold to hospitals. And the money that the Red Cross gets from selling the blood goes into charity work, like helping people rebuild their home after it burned down or whatever, a billion different things. So experimenters, scientists will go to these hospitals and they will purchase blood from the hospitals or the Red Cross for 18-year-olds. And they will give a transfusion to a control group. They'll give a transfusion to an actual group of, in a clinical trial, and they will see what happens. They will see if people feel more energy, if they feel spry, if they look healthier and better, if they live longer, that kind of thing. And it was found that, in fact, yes, if you get a blood transfusion from an 18-year-old, for example, and you're like 60, it does actually help. It does make you feel younger, and you do live longer. Does that mean that people are sticking, like, does that mean that people are sticking straws in people's arm like a Capri Sun and just drinking their blood? No. You can't drink it. It's a blood transfusion. Something that's been happening for, like, since the dawn of time, practically. Well, at least since the invention of the hypodermic needle. So that's the article she's referencing there.
The report that you showed have talked about the blood of young children being the secret to anti-aging.
You catching what she's saying? The blood of young children. That's not what anybody said. We're talking about blood transfusions from younger donors. Donors that are younger than you. That's beneficial. We're not saying young children give their blood to somebody as a sacrifice or something. She's trying to twist it and form it into a QAnon framing.
And why does nobody ask, where does blood come from?
The Red Cross, hospitals.
How do you get the blood of young children?
They donate it.
Does it matter if the children are younger and younger and younger?
Yes, as a matter of fact. I think the younger, you know what, don't quote me on this. I'm not even sure. I'm sure my editor will probably put an explanation at the bottom here. But to my knowledge, is it illegal to, I think it's illegal to take a blood transfusion from somebody that's 18. But 18-year-old's blood is more beneficial than 25-year-old's blood, I believe. I mean, like I said, it's not an important article to me. It's not an article that I read in great depth. It's just something that passed by my purview because of QAnon. Thanks for that. So, you know, I have no clue if that's accurate or not. But she's trying to frame it up as though elites are taking the blood of innocents, you know, babies, 2 years old or something, and drinking it. Insane.
So now are you talking about the blood of babies now? Is that what you're talking about?
She lives in this land where everything is a conspiracy. Everybody is out to get her and the children. It's insane. And she wonders why she's banned from Fox News. Honestly, I kind of wonder why she was banned from Fox News. That seems right up their alley, truthfully. Well, here's what got her banned from Newsmax. This is a famous little ditty called Blood Libel, early November 2022.
God believes that in sovereignty and national identity and the sanctity of family and all the things that we've lived with from the beginning of time. And he knows that the open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world.
Open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world? The border isn't open. It hasn't been open this entire time. Biden's border policy, the U.S.-Mexico border, is basically no different than Trump's. Almost no different at all. I mean, I think he told people to stop using whips. And I think that I think he's put a concerted effort into reuniting families with each other who were split up originally by Donald Trump. And he, of course, ended that policy of splitting families up. To my knowledge, that is really the only difference. Everything else is pretty much the same. What is she complaining about with the border policy? And how does that factor into Satanism or whatever?
And he knows that the open border is Satan's way of taking control of the world through all of these people who are his stooges and his servants.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. The open border? I'm really trying here. I'm struggling. I'm on the struggle bus. The open border is Satan's way of controlling people. How? She doesn't say. She just says it's his way of controlling people, apparently.
And they may think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest.
Who is they? Are they in the room with us right now, Laura? Get help, please. For your own sake and the sake of everybody around you. This is insane. You desperately need help.
Think that they're going to become gods. That's what they tell us. Yuval Noah Harari and all the rest of them at the World Economic Forum. You know, the ones who want us eating insects, cockroaches, and that while they dine on the blood of children.
Yeah.
Those are the people, right? They're not going to win. They're not going to win.
Yeah, this is the one that got her banned. So what she was alluding to is blood libel. Blood libel is a famous accusation that has been leveled against the Jewish community for thousands of years. And when it came over to America and was rebranded under the QAnon umbrella, they changed it from Jews to elites. A lot of the time, if people didn't want to target Jews, or if they thought it wasn't advantageous to them, they would say elites. Also, you know, all through the centuries and millennia. Blood libel is the claim that elites or Jews are taking kids and drinking their blood or eating them, eating babies, mixing them into their matzo ball soup, I think, is one of the claims. Whole bunch of ridiculous claims that were never true, that aren't true now, and will never be true. Okay, people just are not doing that. That's insane. Anyway, that's blood libel. QAnon is really nothing more than a rebranded Nazi death cult, ultimately. And that's Laura Logan. That's Laura Logan for you. That's how she got banned from Fox News and from Newsmax, surprisingly. And this is her descent into absolute psychosis. Let me know what you think about this in the comments. I would love to cover this person more. Okay, cool. Let me reset my camera. And I have one more thing to talk about here. It's my voicemails. There's a reason I have this puppy pulled up here. I covered him earlier, but I need to address him one more time. From a fellow West Virginian, thanks for all you do for our community. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming, Jason Gibson. I appreciate that. That's awesome. And welcome. I was from Huntington, West Virginia, of course. And I was not a fan. Okay, cool. Let's hit the next one, shall we? Usually I'd start streaming on Twitch, but I'm not going to do that this time. Because it's a little bit later than I wanted it to be. Alright, cool. Let's hit this. This is a guy named Jack Hibbs. He's a televangelist. Early May 2022, he comes out here and fearmongers about abortion to his congregants. Listen to this.
Let me tell you something. The Democrat Party is a death cult. Every single Democrat voted to kill babies up in Sacramento last week out of the womb. Kill them. Kill them, they said. Kill them.
He thinks people were saying, kill the babies, kill them. Like, he can't just leave it at, I believe that abortion is murder and these people want abortions to be accessible by people who need them. He has to say, people are calling to kill them, they said, kill them. Insane, man. Absolutely nuts. Well, I got some emails, or I'm sorry. Wait. Well, I got some voicemails about this. So I wanted to talk about it. By the way, voicemail number is 1-800-701-8573 if you want to call in. If your voicemail's between 45 seconds and a minute, then I'm nearly guaranteed to listen to it. All right, check this voicemail out I got.
Hi, Owen. It's Liv from Minnesota, and I have a question about the abortion verse. I'm all for abortion and everything.
The abortion verse to which they're referring is Numbers 5:11-22, I think, and it's a test for an unfaithful wife, basically. They didn't have paternity tests back then, so if there was ever any doubt of the kid's lineage, which is extremely important in Jewish culture, then you would take the wife to the priest, and the priest would whip up a concoction that the wife would drink, and if it wasn't your baby, then she would have a miscarriage, i.e., the priest would perform an abortion on the wife. That's what That's what Numbers 5:11-22 says. It is an endorsement of abortion because patriarchal or what is it? Because the lineage needs to be preserved. Just put it that way. So in that one section, the Bible endorses abortion, and it doesn't talk about it anywhere else in the entire Bible. Anywhere. Ever. The verse that's commonly used to fight against abortion by evangelicals is one in I think Ezekiel, where it talks about God basically predetermining or predestining this guy's existence. He said he was a prophet of God, and he knew he was going to exist long before he even came into existence. That's what the verse said. And from that they pull, life begins at conception. It's insane. I don't even know what to do with that. Let alone the verses about what happens if you injure a mother or injure a pregnant woman and how much you're supposed to pay her or pay the family for the injury or whatever. A baby, let me rephrase. A pregnant woman, if she has a miscarriage, is owed a certain amount of money. It's not even that high. I don't even remember what it was now. It's not murder. They had murder charges back then. It was simply a fine for causing a miscarriage in a woman. So all the way back when the Bible was being written, these people did not view it this way. It wasn't until like the 1970s or the 80s that the evangelical movement really picked up on the anti-abortion train because they thought they'd be able to use it to their advantage to get people whipped into a blood frenzy. And boy, were they right. With that context in mind, the caller is calling about Numbers 5:11-22, about the test for an unfaithful wife. Let's listen.
Hi, Owen. It's Liv from Minnesota, and I have a question about the abortion verse. I'm all for abortion and everything, but if you said that the old law was fulfilled when Jesus came back, wouldn't that mean that the Numbers verse would be irrelevant to some Christians now because of the old law thing, or I don't know. It was just some general confusion that I had, and I just wanted answered. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, I appreciate the call. Very interesting question and a valuable question to ask. The thing is, Jesus is the center of Christianity, right? Everything revolves around him. Everything that he said is law. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. If Jesus said it, Christians are supposed to follow it. If it was contradicted earlier or later, those contradictions are ignored. That's how it's supposed to be, right? The book of Numbers, that thing about an unfaithful wife, the test for an unfaithful wife, that wasn't in the old law to my knowledge. That was just a test that they performed, I believe. And it is the only mention anywhere in the entire Bible about abortion. It's the only thing that we have to look to. Jesus didn't say a word about abortion, which means that by the property of omission, abortion should be allowed within the Christian church because Jesus didn't talk about it. In fact, nobody did, not even Paul. Nobody did. But if you need that extra step, the Bible does endorse it. The Old Testament does. That's really what I'm saying with it. Yeah, the Old Testament was fulfilled and done away with, and we should only be reading the Gospels accounts, really, as Christians. Only the Gospels are relevant to Christians. So within that framework, within that context, it says nothing about abortion. Anyway, thanks for the call. I appreciate that.
Hey, Owen, this is Alex from Michigan, a.k.a. Progress Only. Just wanted to thank you for covering John Cooper on Flashpoint this past Tuesday.
Yeah, John Cooper is, oh my God, the singer from Skillet, the band Skillet. Apparently Skillet is super, super popular. I had no idea. I'd never heard of him before. Famous band who happens to be a Christian band, and John Cooper is a right-wing Trumpist nutcase, as it turns out. So I covered him recently on my Owen Unfiltered YouTube channel. If you want to see that, it's pretty interesting. Anyways, back to the voicemail.
Point this past Tuesday, as someone who grew up in the Christian radio world, parents on the radio station, if you remember, got to talk to him as a youth during a lock-in at a local university New Year's Eve 2001. And ever since I came out, it's like, wow, this guy turned into a major piece of shit. And looking into it, there's other bands that are played on mainstream radio that are tied to the same record company and group and have the same views as John Cooper, including the band Red, including the band POD. And it's just the infiltration of infiltration into non-Christian specific genres by Christian artists to kind of cover themselves, and not even Christians in general, like the extremist Flashpoint style Christians. It's just disturbing that all those things that I saw in my childhood growing up that I was told would be a good thing to happen are turning out to be the worst thing for America. So just want to let you know that. Thanks again. Bye.
Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. And sadly, some of the bands that I listened to when I was younger are completely off the deep end also. Trapped, the song Headstrong, famously, they wrote that song. They were COVID deniers, they were Trump supporters, they were vaccine deniers, and they're just complete nutcases out of their heads. Smash Mouth, same thing. Smash Mouth is just, all-star. Hey, now you're an all-star, get your game on, go play. That's Smash Mouth. Completely gone. Those people are nuts. They are about as deep in the Trump bubble as you can possibly get. And then there's Creed. Creed was actually a band that I listened to a lot. My mom got me an album, one of their albums. She didn't realize that they were moving in a Christian direction, or she wouldn't have gotten it for me. But I was actually a huge fan of Creed for a while there. I listened to a whole bunch of their albums. And Scott Stapp was the singer there. And he was the songwriter and the one pushing it in a Christian direction. The rest of the band didn't like it. They're like, what are you doing? You're pushing us in a Christian direction. We don't want this. We don't want to be a Christian band. But, they got famous off of some of their most Christian music, so it is what it is. But Scott Stapp used to get completely drunk off his ass at concerts while he was performing on stage, just mind burned from the alcohol. I think he went to rehab, I'm not sure, but now he's doing the podcast circuit because his wife was in a far-right evangelical extremist movie recently. I think it was... I don't remember which movie it was. Maybe one of Dinesh D'Souza's movies? Not 2000 Mules, but the new one. Anyway. Police State, maybe? I'm not sure. But yeah, she was in a far-right movie, which tells me that he is also on the far, far, far right. And that's just really disappointing to find out, These bands that you really enjoyed are just mind-burned.
Hi, this is Jennifer from Georgia. I've listened to your show for a pretty long time now, but I've never called. I wanted to say that I heard you talking about abortion and how it was manufactured and it hadn't been a Christian problem until like the 70s. I wanted to say that you should read Jesus and John Wayne by Kristen Kobes-Dumez, because she actually lays everything out in a timeline and shows the takeover of the evangelical movement in American politics. So again, it's great listening to your show.
Yeah, I appreciate the voicemail, and I just want to let you know that I did get the book on Audible. I'm going to give it a read, see if I can find the time to do that, and I appreciate the recommendation. Super interesting subject. When you find out that evangelical Christians manufactured this entire thing, it changes your perspective on the whole abortion debate or the whole abortion problem or whatever. I mean, it not only is it not in the Bible, that abortion is bad, but it's actually endorsed in certain spots. When you realize that, there's no going back. You realize that these people really are scam artists. Complete scam artists. Anyway, thank you guys so much for the voicemails. I really appreciate that. I got some emails too, but I got some suggestions on those emails, and I want to hit those suggestions, but they're a little bit too long to hit in a single video, so I'm going to hit them Tuesday night on my main channel, I think. Anyways, all right, let's see here. Just saying, I really like Three Doors Down, particularly Duck and Run. Then they decided to play for Trump. Did they? Three Doors Down played for Trump? I did not know that. Oh, man. Oh, that's so disappointing, man. What's really funny is that Donald Trump is like a massive Elton John fan, has been his whole life. And he begged Elton John to play for him, and he just kept telling him to go fuck himself. I love it. I love everything about it. Three Doors Down played at Trump's inauguration in 2017, and guitarist Chris Henderson has no apologies. We got a lot of backlash about playing the inauguration, and we don't care, he said in a recent telephone interview. I didn't hear about that. That's really sad. I liked Three Doors Down also. That is a shame, man. It's so sad to find out that, like, the people that you listened to are such gullible suckers, you know? They fell for it. Kind of heartbreaking. Anyway. All right, guys, I'm out. It's late. I appreciate you guys coming and hanging out with me. It's been fun. Meet me on my main channel on Tuesday for a game of Guess the Religion. And meet me on Wednesday on Unfiltered if you want to watch Greg Locke's entire Flat Earth debate. It was fascinating. Okay? All right. Thank you guys so much for coming. I'll see you guys next time, okay?